It's all down to Mitchie to try to deny that. He's not able to deny the plan, but he's able to run down the time.
Here it starts again. One kill already done. Next kill already done. Numbers do usually win out, so they are going to pick it up out through the wall.
Camera in position.
Get behind me!
Tango located.
Hostiles in sight!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and Rainbow Six Siege fans. It's week 7. It's the final week of the round robin here in LPL Pro for Rainbow Six Siege. We're right near the tail end of where it's about to get exciting. My name is Matt Smite Ross. This great guy here is Cthulu. And we have just one more week to go before we hit the playoffs, man.
Correct, yeah. We had, well, so far 6 weeks of just absolutely amazing action. Some very interesting scorelines that nearly got to it, but look, and some of the matches that were kind of expected kind of ended up in a row. But this week is going to be where all the loose ends will be tied.
Yeah, and now, of course, you're hearing things like, oh, round robin, leaderboard. Maybe you don't know what all this means. Well, let us remind you here right now just exactly how things work around here, how we got here. It is week number 7. That means we're in the last week of the round robin. We've had 8 teams. And they've all, well, after this week, will have played each other at least once, and each match being a best-of-2 series. And then at the end of that, which is tomorrow night, by the way, we take the top 4 teams and put them into the playoffs. And that's actually going to start next week from the semi-finals.
Yeah, and now for the playoffs, the 4 top teams will be playing out, well, firstly for quite some prize money as well, and as well as that, some bragging rights as well to close out the 2020.
Yeah, but it's really all about the money.
Yeah, it's mostly about the money. But yeah, quite a fair bit of sum for all of those teams, but obviously the main incentive is going to be for the first place to jam it all out and just, well, play out as hard as possible to get all the goodies.
Yeah, important to note, all that money is all locked up in the top 4 as well. So
correct. Look,
if a team wants to crack in there and actually get a shot at the prize money, they've got to do it in this week. Otherwise, well, it'll be too late. Unless, of course, they're going for one of the individual awards that the players can be earning this season. The first one of which is the Vodafone Mvp Award. This one's $250, cold hard cash, just straight up to the best player of the league. That's pretty much the best way to put it.
Yeah, pretty much the best way to put it. Yet another incentive, essentially, for all the players, all the teams to bust out their flashiest plays and just get as many of those highlights going, because that is going to be pretty much the main way for us to decide as well as to, well, who will be voted for the MVP award.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to get it. I mean, why else would you not want to get the award that says, hey, you're the best player in the league? So, you know, the cash on top of it is pretty sweet as well. Now, of course, that's not the only way these players can individually earn some extra dosh. The Red Bull fan vote is another way they can do it. And this one's a whole lot of fun because you guys at home can get involved as well. ! Vote in the chat. And you can find out how you can vote for your favorite player, because the 4 players that get the most votes at the end of the season, which actually, I think it ends at the end of the round robin. So by tomorrow night, you guys better get your votes in, because the 4 players that get the most are going to be walking away with $500 cash, a year's supply of Red Bull, and a Red Bull fridge to put it all in.
But that is not it. 4 voters will be randomly also picked to receive a year's supply of Red Bull, which is quite a large amount of Red Bull, first of all. Second of all, that is a pretty hype thing to really get yourself on board. And really all you need to do is, well, type !vote. Vote for your top favorite player and, well, you will be in for a draw.
Easiest thing you'll ever do to earn some free Red Bull. So honestly, get out there and do it. And another thing that you can get out there and do is the Esports Assessment Lab test. This test is a whole lot of fun because what you can do is you can get in there, you find out basically how your brain works in esports, you know, where you're good, where you're not so good, and what you need to work on. But the cool thing as well is that they can compare their stats to players like Campo, who have gone in and actually done this test as well.
Yeah, and for that matter, it actually gives all the players the kind of more of a scientific way to approach maybe their trash talk as well. Whenever somebody decides to question your KD,
That's
just
a good point.
go question them about their EAL score. It's probably going to end up being lower than yours, so might as well.
Yeah. How'd you miss that shot?
Exactly.
How'd you score lower than me on the EAL? There you go. Scientific proof to back up your trash talk. Now, guys, Like we've been saying this whole time, of course, but before we do move on, !EAL in Twitch chat to find out a little bit more. And also use our code LPL Gaming, all caps, no spaces, to give that test a try for free yourself, to compare yourself to Campo and those trash-talking teammates in ranked. But now, where I was just about to get to is that we're at the end of the round robin Cthulhu.
Correct.
But, of course, how did we get here from week 6 is the big question. Last week, I'd say was probably the most interesting in terms of the individual rounds we saw, but let's kick it off with what we saw in PC419 and Bans.
Yeah, look, PC419 and Bans kind of resulted in a fairly expected scoreline. It was a 2-0 to PC419. Shaq went absolutely huge there. Pretty much the whole team did a pretty solid job. Bans showed us a few good rounds and were able to quite methodically shut down a fair few initial plays by PC419, but the moment kind of PC419 threw out all of the big composure moment and just decided to play for a flexible kind of schedule, well, this is where kind of Bans were unfortunately caught off guard.
Yeah, and the thing is, while PC419 were having monster rounds like you just saw there from Steffi T, Bans, the rounds they were meant to win, they did win. However, the rounds that PC419 were able to steal away from them were the real story on this. So you always have moments like, we just saw Nath do, and then also, throughout the night, Bans were having some pretty good moments where they would pick up a few kills, even the entry kills, and take a lead.
Yeah, even then, there we see Mixers kind of go in, push it into a 2v1 situation, but after that, Steffi T just kind of run away with it. But then we had this Skyfire versus Shadownet. That was a very kind of, also a very interesting game to say at the very least, because for once, well, we didn't really see as close of a scoreline like we usually used from Shadownet at this point, which unfortunately for them, they still couldn't really pick up a win. And second of all, Skyfire went for a few very interesting plays, let's just say that.
Well, I mean, this one at the end here is easily one of my favorite plays of the whole season. The big brain alibi play. You've always wanted to pull this off in ranked, let alone a pro match. And then he goes off and just does them like that. I mean, what a great way to do it. And that leaves us with a leaderboard that looks like this. Now, we start off with the top. You've got Rafflecopter there, pretty safe, but just on their tails. PC419 and Skyfire right up in second place, tied as well. Then, of course, Ferox rounds out the top 4, with Exto wanting to sneak in, 2 points behind. And then, of course, we've got the bottom 3, but it's all about Elemental and Bans, who do not want to be relegated.
Yeah, big storyline for them tonight, as tonight is going to be their last chance to really try to make any final shakeups to the leaderboard, see which team between the two of them will be going into relegation and which one will be able to stay out. Currently, Elemental are currently staying out of the relegation, but only thanks to a tiebreaker. Right now for Bans, as a matter of fact, both for Bans and Elemental, there's a few ways to really go about it.
Yeah, but tonight is where they can make a difference, like you mentioned. So let's talk about the matches we are going to be seeing tonight from both these teams, because they're not playing each other, Cthulhu. I mean, they might have wanted that. That would have actually given us an answer.
That would have probably been a very interesting one. Yeah.
I mean, that would have actually, unless they exactly drew, would have decided who's avoiding it. But no, it's going to be this way. Bans will play Ferox first, and then later tonight, we've got Exto Gaming facing down Elemental. So first up, I mean, this Bans game, right? Against Ferox, it's a tough one, but I mean, it could be as little as one map they need to take to avoid relegation.
That's the beautiful thing about tonight's matchup. For Bans, they really need just only a single map to just keep themselves out of relegation. They were able to pull it off last season, where they, I believe, second to last week, they were able to get themselves a win that pretty much ensured that they were out of the relegation. So this is kind of their final chance. Probably not the best matchup that they would have wished for, to attempt to even claw away a single map, because given how Ferox been playing, especially with the addition of repicks. Oh boy indeed.
Yeah, and just to quickly touch on that second match as well, they're basically the same match in terms of, who's going to avoid relegation. But if you look at it closely enough, you can see there's a window where Exto Gaming sneak into the top 4 and steal away Ferox's spot. So I think we'll get into that a little bit more as we dive into the games itself. And speaking of that, let's dive into the first game, because we've got to get into it at some point here. So first up, it's Bans Gaming. Now, they have been taking it to some of these upper ranked teams, but not quite closing out those points they want.
Yeah, look, they shown us some pretty promising plays a fair few times, but Unfortunately for them, it's either the team that that they're facing against is just a little bit too flexible sometimes. Sometimes it's just the fact that they are trying to pull off somewhat similar plays, similar strats that can be kind of read in fairly quickly that betrays them. So there's always been kind of a bit of a ongoing issue, and it's not necessarily even their fault for a few times. It's more so just the skill gap occasionally that just kind of does them dirty.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes the other team is just popping off, and there's not much you can do.
There's not much you can do, especially like teams like, again, Ferox, that are just had fresh new blood and just new life breathed into them with the introduction of Repix. And him and Oda have been just absolutely phenomenal. Stunning plays, amazing clutches, and on a very frequent basis, might I add.
Yeah, and they've also got a nice little solid base to work off as well. I mean, Todd is always hot on their tails for
Definitely.
highlight plays. Nazgul and Shade are like your solid backbone. You know, players that you can always rely on to do things like the impact tricks on Clubhouse, you know, that you do need to get done. So players you can rely on are always very important. So when you talk about that, you've got to talk about the key player matchup, Cthulhu, because you've got to rely on these guys. So tonight in this match, it's going to be Cordial and Repix. Now, Repix, I'm not too worried about this, man. We've seen him just absolutely pop off. For Cordial, this is a tough matchup.
Yeah, that is going to be a very tough matchup. I'll definitely agree with you on that one, Smite. But I'll have to say, like, rewatching back at the VODs, yeah, Bans didn't really have a close scoreline in the previous couple matches, but out of all of them, Cordial was consistently up on the higher end of the leaderboard for his team. It's either he's been on the first or the second place, kind of matching between himself and Hello. And overall, I gotta say, him, maybe Nath occasionally, and Hello kind of been the three highlight players of their whole run throughout this whole season, gotta say.
Yeah, terrifying player to go up against, though. Repix is just an absolute monster. I mean, I expect to see his domination continue tonight, especially in a match where Ferox want to just lock in that top four. A 2-0 would lock in that top four for them. That's really all they're looking for tonight. So, yeah, for this key player matchup specifically, then yeah, Cordial versus Repix. Yeah, Cordial's been putting up the numbers, but I mean, think about how many times we've screamed about Repix during the match compared to how many times we screamed about Cordial.
Yeah, Repix has just been absolutely ripping it up, and just the sheer amount of clutches that we did see from the team, from him and for his team, were just absolutely stunning. Look, I'm keen to see what they gonna be playing on, because map picks are going to be huge here. And well, looking right now, Consulate and Oregon are going to be picked. Consulate now, I think we saw Ferox play 2 times on Consulate.
Yeah, it would have been a while ago.
In the earlier part of the season, where we saw some pretty good nades from Todd. That is probably the first thing that pops up in my mind.
That was a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. And apart from that, really, they had a pretty solid overall performance. But look, all the talks, all the analysis aside, game's ready. Let's dig straight into it.
So Consulate. Now this is Bance's pick.
Correct.
Which makes it quite interesting. So I wonder if they're going to have a plan coming into it with some of their bans. We saw some pretty strange bans last week, particularly from the teams that have kind of already locked in their spot. But who knows? Maybe bans will come out with something here on Consulate.
Okay. So yeah, Ferox really just, locked in Capitao, which is a pretty solid pick overall, gotta say. Man has been seeing a little bit of a buff over the addition with the external, or rather not external, secondary hard breach device. With Thatcher being banned out, the hard breaching whole idea is definitely going to be negated even more so. But the fact that Maverick is still in the game, the fact that Ace is still in the game, could certainly pretty much be the redeeming value here.
Yeah, but the thing that stands out to me, I mean, they kind of had to because they were second ban to throw out Thatcher, but the mirror ban here, first on defense. These are stock standard bans from bans.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy being thrown at Ferox, at least for now. You know, This is just the bans.
Well, the last ban is coming in, and that is going to be Valkyrie. I was just about to actually talk about that. So here's a funny thing. So like you mentioned before, Ferox did actually go for a few unconventional bans, namely, say for Clubhouse, we've seen a few Wamai bans from them, some of the odd bans, Cough Cough Villa, which did see us ban, what was it, Zafia and Jaeger.
We didn't even have the icon for Zofia at that point.
Which was, yeah, that was a whole different story. But
that's how often she gets banned.
Yeah. And this time, I find it interesting the fact that it's their last play date. Theoretically, they locked in their dub, or rather, they stay in the playoffs.
Well, they're not quite there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're not quite there yet. They need at least another, I believe, at least another point. They need themselves to just stick themselves, because Exto shouldn't be needs a 2-0 without Ferox gaining any points.
If Ferox gains 1 point here, as in, you know, they take one map,
yeah,
then a 2-0 from Exto would get them a tie, and then we come down to a tiebreaker. I'm not sure on the exact numbers on that, and I'm not sure exactly where our map is, as we have been sitting in the loading for a little bit now.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That does give us a little bit more time to maybe theory craft about what could potentially happen. Because for bans, let's think somewhat back. I don't think we've seen a whole lot of bans to play Consulate that to begin with. So, looking back at their more so recent appearances, say week 5, they've been namely just playing Oregon and Villa, and occasional.
Clubhouse. Ooh.
Occasional Clubhouse, yeah.
Feeling special.
Very special, yes. But even then, okay, Cafe, Oregon again. So, not a whole lot of things have really changed. So, Consulate is definitely quite a departure from the usual picks. Which, look, gotta say, I am all for it. Slight switch around to maybe throw off your opponents, maybe start digging into their kind of more so ranked style plays is definitely a good way to kind of deconstruct your opponents. And, well, Oda has something to say about it, which is going to be just a spawn peek.
Yeah, speaking of ranked style, going straight for the spawn peek, but yeah, the good news is that nothing fell down from it. He didn't just get shot in the head straight away. It hasn't really cost the attackers too much though, so bans aren't really too worried about it. Just a little play to see if they can find anything.
Yeah. Right now, it awfully seems like Ferox are attempting to be very aggressive right now, trying to even prevent bans from even making an entrance into the building, which, well, Ripix just kind of lost quite a heap of health for trying to do that very thing. But it seems that Nazgul will be opening up the scoreline onto Nath, and that is a very nice pick initially, because that is Sledge, that is one of your soft breaches, as well as that's the set of frag grenades, and nearly took care of Tracy, although that's only a minuscule damage that has been dealt to the ace.
Nazgul's also taken out like 2 drones that we've seen on camera. Here's going to be another one from, well, maybe not quite getting that one, as Repix falls down to Tracy, evening it up. But my point being, the bans are probably going to be running a little dry on some of these drones. You can see actually, it's only Cordial with any drones left. Luckily, he's got 2, but they're going to need this to take the site pretty well. I'd say Ferox have run down the clock pretty well, run down the utility well, but I don't know if it's well enough to secure victory just yet.
We'll have to see, but you are correct on saying that the drone utility is certainly going to be missing there for bans, and that is something that gets overshadowed quite a fair bit when teams do think that, these just drones, but info gathering is a huge thing in Siege, and most certainly gives you quite an upper hand. But looking right now at bans, they are hunting for Nazgul and looking at potentially finding themselves a frag here onto Ella. The Nomad of bans certainly will be looking for that, but completely caught off guard. Nazgul already with a double, and Cordial unfortunately could not cover, but finally at the very least gets a trade. Whilst there's also a kill off screen by Oda, so that does leave Cordial and Tracy to clutch out against 3 members of Ferox, but right now both these attackers are very much disconnected, so they need to win their own gunfights, their own 1v1s, if they do want to come out successful in this round.
Alright, Tracy going very hard on the breaches on the main garage door, now opening it up entirely. Got a lot of good little sidelines. Now, the thing is, Cordial wants to stay alive. Remember, he's got those 2 drones in his pocket. Could even drop them down from above if he really wanted to. but 2 people left and not actually enough time to drone, in fact. And so Vance Gaming, I think they've been shut down a little bit outside. Cordial's got to find it, but that's a double in 5 seconds, Cthulhu. That is a little bit too much to ask for one man.
Yeah, unfortunately with big time, really, the man couldn't really do much for himself. So Ferox making a return here. Well, going to be kicking things off pretty well for themselves. And not really much could have been done there by Bance. It felt like their roam clear was a little bit shaky. They couldn't really do much, at least in a very coordinated way, and maybe some sort of reconsideration for where do they want to go and how do they want to push should be put in place.
The thing is, they got repicks. The problem was it was just a little bit too little and too late because Nazgul was still on the hunt for a lot of that. Eventually, does put him down, but I mean, at the end of the day, that was definitely too little and too late for Vance to win at that point. So yeah, I mean, it does come right down to that roam clear. So definitely got to find out they can take them out quickly enough. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like Ferox were holding down any crazy sites where it's like impossible to flush them out. They were mostly just running around the rooms, hanging out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they were very aggressive, very flexible about where they want to play. They had kind of a set area where they wanted to peep as long as possible, but they didn't really have any set locations per se. So, with that said, maybe they will do something of a similar case here, but look, apart from that, I don't think there will be much to be done. Todd kind of gave up there.
No, dude, that's so annoying, man.
Yeah, to place the camera, but oh well.
You get like the 1 pixel where you can place it, and then you move an inch and it's gone. But interestingly is that Todd has jumped right down all the way to the basement, I believe. He might be heading back to the stairs, but we'll keep an eye on what he's doing. Remember, that's a very heavy Maestro running around, so...
Yeah. A roaming Maestro is going to be a very questionable thing to really pull off, but we've seen a few times when 3 armor operators will be the one on the roam. Maestro is definitely a first in a while. Usually it's either Doc or maybe Rook with the MP5 with the scope. So apart from that, really, I don't see any need for that per se, given how Ferox are they able to pretty much just defend it with the utility as well. But for Bans, they're making all the right decisions right now. They're opening all the sightlines, as many of them as possible, as a matter of fact. And just trying to cut off all the rotations for as long as possible. They have discovered that rotation hole as well.
Yeah.
Which could be used by Maestro. So now that they are aware that there might be a flank around, or rather just another area for the roamers to kind of play around, they will be sending hello. So for that very reason, he should be able to find a shot onto Nazgul, but instead just gets caught off guard, and Mixes can't really do much. So instead it's just Nazgul just continuing his roam.
Pretty sure Todd's still hanging out in the basement. Yeah, he is. So, no idea what Todd's hanging out with, but hey, look, no one's found him just yet, but Mixes has been found, and that is now 2 attackers down, unless they can get him back up. Looks like Nate's going to be able to, but that is a low health Nomad who is now on her last life. The smokes are now starting to come out pretty early, I might add, as we've lost Cordial now, another attacker to fall, but Nazgul's gone down in the meantime, so...
Yeah, at the very least they were able to trade out Nazgul, which is a good thing, so that means that the rest of the players of the defense are going to be back on site. Nate already picks up another one of the Shade. There is a play by Repix at the hallway and the main reception desk, but it won't be really catching a whole lot of damage for himself and rather falling back. And right now in the 3v3, this is workable for Bans, but the health disadvantage is certainly in place and certainly going to be making things a whole lot more tough, given that Bans are playing a little bit more on a passive side. They're kind of still feeling a little bit unsure about some of their pushes, and Ferox could really emphasize on that point.
Yeah, and Ferox also have massive lines of sight here. I mean, look at what Repix can see. It's going to be very hard for Bans to get in here without being crossfired, but with 20 seconds to go, it's now or never. The smokes come out. We've already lost Nate. And now, oh, there it is. The rest of them fall just as quick. And Ferox pick up another round on the defense.
Look where Todd got his final kill from. Spraying down from all the way down the bottom.
I didn't even realize that was Todd.
Yeah. Todd got the final kill, but yeah, that position has been actually used fairly frequently as of recently, just because well, the whole floor is destructible. If you have a big enough gun or rather big enough magazine, might as well go for all those pre-fires as long as you have the teammates that actually give out all the information as to where the general whereabouts are for some of the players. So that is a good play, although maybe it's slightly unnecessary, but I suppose Ferox are just kind of semi half memeing it out, half kind of sweating it out for
I'm
like ranked style.
I'm keen to see the Maestro play like that. It was
Yeah. I'm all for it. Like I'm not saying it's bad. It's just more so unconventional.
It's certainly entertaining, at the
Yes.
very least. And now we get to hit the lobby. This is always a fun little site, very big room. Obviously, you've got the big doors opening in from the right on the outside, close proximity to the stairs. So this is always a fun one to watch, but Bance is still yet to pick a round up. They probably want to start doing it now. You know, a 2-point deficit, that's all right. You know, you can get by that, but 3 points just feels different, man. It just feels like you're way further behind.
3 points is certainly going to be the thing that Ferox will be looking for as well, just to make sure that Xto do not get a single chance at pushing them out of that position. Because currently Ferox are on the 4th position on the leaderboard, for those who are just tuning in and as a reminder. So curious what will be done, because Oda bringing in the MPX and the SMG-12 for spawn peak as a warden, bit of a odd thing, and Nazgul running the smoke with the FMG-9. Look, a few things definitely are being confused here, as that is a good night for Cordial. Poor man couldn't even get out of spawn.
How did he even see him from there? Nazgul, man.
Nazgul has the 1.5 scope on that FMG, and
No,
the FMG-9, surprisingly, is one of those underused weapons that has borderline no recoil.
Even just the line of sight from the van. Oh no, another attacker from the window will fall to Shade, and he's even got the same window on lockdown, so he may be able to hold this position for even longer, but it's already a massive success so far for Ferox. And they're not even moving an inch away. The first flash is now coming out, but Shade is not pushed back even a little bit. He's still got the angles held. He's going to be so hard to get out of here.
I like the fact that Bans are so scared about going for a full-blown swing that they actually had to dedicate 3 different players to actually going for the ping to try to even flush out the Jaeger of Shade. And right now they also watching out for all those runouts because they know Ferox are very much keen on doing those. And while they won't be doing it as frequently, but it seems that finally the runouts has been done, but only partially, as we just lost Oda as well.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what it's done to the attack here. That's just the Warden down. They still have 4 defenders left for Ferox. They're okay, especially against only 2 attackers here for Bance. And, you know, it's going to be impossible to get past those pests as well. You know, it's just going to be too hard for them to drone out. And so instead, they've got to do what they've been scared of the whole game. Go for these swings.
Exactly. Well,
Device is set.
Hello, maybe a little bit too late on some of those swings, but alas,
Loading new
still
map.
gonna go for them. As to, well, why not? Pretty much at this point. Already goes into a gunfight with, I'm assuming that is either Repix or Nazgul, and well, either of them will run into an air jab. Nice pick by Hello onto Nazgul. That is the smoke out of the equation, but running low on ammo certainly could be an issue once you're trying to contest against the Maestro with an LMG, so it's definitely going to be quite an issue. But a good pincer maneuver, though, by Bans to try to isolate some of the angles so that Hello later on could just peek in just that one angle. But they didn't account for the fact that there is a roaming Shade still up on the spiral stairs, and that pretty much puts Hello back at ground zero.
Yeah, it was one of those plays where you just kind of had to try and make it, and you know, he did check the spiral stairs, just not all of it, and obviously timing on it too, so you kind of have to make the play because there was really, at that point, no other option. And Ferox, from that point, they can close it out for the 3rd round in a row, Cthulhu.
Yeah, look, I'm still amused by the fact that Todd is just, he is completely reluctant to trying to play an anchor, well, play as an anchor operator. He just goes in for the full send. Last round, he just decided to go and play at the very bottom of the map as a Maestro and roam. Now he's also going for those like cheeky flanks through the exit stairs. Certainly a unique playstyle to say at the very least, and I would say that, say if it was Rufflecopter versus Ferox, I don't think Todd would have done a similar thing.
Well, maybe he's hiding that for the playoffs matches, you know, whether they play in semis or grand final, not too sure, but, you know, that is one of the small advantages of this. When you're pretty confident in your position in the top 4, and it's clear that Ferox are, you know, they can experiment a little bit like this. Now, I think it's also important to note that with a 2-0, not only do they lock in their top 4 spot, but they could even go for something better than a 4th seed. Because remember, 4th seed means they'll likely play Rocketcopter, depending on matches tomorrow night. You know, but still, regardless, 4th seed means you're playing the 1st seed. So,
yeah, that's correct.
2-0 here could easily just set themselves up for that. Obviously, still depends on other matches, but, you know, they are certainly setting themselves up for a 2-0 for now.
I think it's more so just at the moment is more so of a question whether they get the 4th or 3rd seed. Because I don't think they will be able to battle it out for the 2nd seed unless it's, unless we'll see a loss by, I think it's PC 419. So, unless that happens, I don't think we shall be seeing Ferox even with a 2-0 at the 2nd place, but it's still on the board. It's still a possibility, so I won't be completely excluding it, but yeah, we'll have to see. For the time being, at least a 3rd seed is going to be definitely improving the general quality of life of Ferox once they get to the playoffs.
Alright, well, no Bandit, no Kaid means this breach should be easy peasy, and you've got the best man for the job as Tracy on the Thermite. Can open this hole nice and big, like it's meant to be, but they just rush right in.
Oh,
it's
God.
a bloodbath.
Oh god. Poor Nath is looking probably at the kill feed and just, well, that happened, I guess. Todd just decides to troll his own teammate, so minus Shade, which
with the Maestro cam, nice.
With the Maestro cam nonetheless, yeah. And, well, for Nath, I mean, he could take probably 1 or 2 gunfights before going down, but apart from that, I don't think we shall be seeing a whole lot of big plays, given that Bance... Well, Nath did pull off a couple of the good clutches, so maybe this will happen, but looking at all of these reinforcements, it's just borderline impossible with just how many angles he will have to contest at the same time.
No, but they left the diffuser where he can plant it anyway. So look, you know, he gets 1 kill and he can leave the diffuser there because he's going to plant it there anyway, right? So, and the other good news is that his team died like 10 seconds in, so he's got the whole round to make this 1v4 happen because they killed their own teammate. But of course it is still a 1v3 and he's at half health and he's also just a jackal, so this is going to take an incredible amount of skill for him to pull off. Especially because Ferox could just play for time or could just play for the kill. Repix goes and hunts him down.
They could alternatively also play for Repix and just tell him what to do, and Repix just goes in and delivers, rather, it seems. But yeah, look, right now Ferox are certainly enjoying their time here.
Really? It looks like Bance is enjoying it.
Bance are kind of like there with like some of the strats that are quite questionable. Obviously, it seems that they may have at least partially gave up hope on making it.
I don't know.
Within this map, although, or rather, sorry, not this map, this half. We'll call it on this half because attacking half on Consulate is definitely quite a rough time for any team, no matter what. And I would assume that their at least objective here is to get at least maybe 1 point, maybe 2 points. Well, 2 points is their best case scenario right now, anyway. But the main kind of prayers are going to be going out on the second half of this map. If not, then it's Oregon, where I think both the teams are pretty well versed, or rather they've played quite a fair bit of time, so they should know all the nook and cranny.
Here's the thing though, Cthulhu, is that likely scenario is that, you know, we'll see as we go on, but likely scenario is that Bance goes down 0-2 and Elemental goes down 0-2 tonight.
That is
Now,
the expected kind of statistical scenario.
What that means is that it comes down to tiebreaker, which means every round can count. Every single round could keep you out of relegation by just breaking that tie. Now, obviously, Elemental could win the games later tonight. Who knows? But if Bance don't win anything, they can at least pick up some rounds. So I think they've got to really count on getting at least some of these rounds here. Otherwise, relegation could be all but guaranteed.
The bands that they would like to stay away from the relegations as much as possible, really. We'll have to see if it is going to be the case here, because so far, I mean, Ferox have been doing a pretty good job from for keeping away Bans from getting any frags, and well, Maestro just doubles down on that. Again, a roaming smoke. I think that we've seen a fair few times, but not the smoke with the FMG9. Usually it's the shotgun and SMG11, and SMG11 being used as kind of the main armament. But it seems that, well, for now at least, Nazgul won't be finding anything. Todd and Repix instead do find a few kills off the windows, and now it's down to Mixes and Cordial once again. Poor Cordial is still repelled, awaiting. He knows that there was some presence around the benches, but won't be able to confirm it fully.
Yeah, he droned out the smoke, so he knew he was there, but didn't see him leave.
Owen is just full-blown trolling. Finally, Cordial does find a punishment onto Nazgul, so at least there's that. There's some sort of redemption there. Needs to rendezvous with Mixes, and at this point, it's either the push through the Visa stairs, maybe try the exit stairs, which is going to be highly unlikely, but a fantastic shot from Mixes should open up a possibility for Bans to just go in for the push at the Visa stairs.
Oh, Mixes was feeling it on the stairs, but not once he got up there. Now it's just Cordial. And of course, the 1v3 situation, it's a big ask, but he always started off with that one kill. Oh, and now he knows someone's above him, and so he can pick up another one here. It's just one more in his way, and it's Shade. On the mute, still has a C4 in hand, so it's not going to be an easy task, that's for sure. But the random castle barricades are going to be in the way, and also tell Shade where his opponent is. But Cordial knows that, so he can play off it too. But right now, we're basically just down to a gunfight here. Maybe Shade pulls out the C4 Cthulhu. I'd love to see that, but I feel like he's just going to try and hunt him down with the sound cues.
Main issue here is that Cordial just got spotted by one of the bulletproof cameras, so his position has been revealed and pretty much relayed back to Shade. So Shade right now should have the right drop onto the Zafia. Other issue is, well, Zafia's turned to the side and won't be able to really see Shade. Plus, Cordial was more so just, I'm guessing, looking for any presence on the exit stairs. So, unfortunately for him, Shade will outsmart him, and that is the 5th round in a row for Ferox.
Realistically, he shouldn't have even won that 1v4 anyway, or 1v3, I guess, at that point. But
yeah, I mean, that's the case for pretty much most 1vx's, really. But I'll give it to Cordial. That was a very good attempt, very solid one. Unfortunately, just couldn't really close it out, and that is a curse that seems to be following quite actually a few players.
Yeah, but for a lot of other teams, it's been not able to close out a map right now. Bance, they can't close out a round. Ferox have just shut them out entirely, and it starts right at the beginning of the round. You look at them, Cthulhu, and every round, less than a minute in, someone on Bance has already been killed, and they're lucky if it's only one. Ferox are being absolutely vicious on this one. They are definitely making Bance feel something in this match right now. Not a single round has been picked up for them. Now they're throwing in things like Frost just to be annoying on windows. Nothing too crazy either. It's literally just 3 Frost mats in a row under 3 windows in a row. So, you know, I like it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean...
And they've left the door open, of course.
Left the door open, but that is at this point their stable decision to play. Especially given the fact that Nazgul will be playing with the FMG9 with a 1.5 times scope, and a peek there should pretty much do the thing. Although now that Ferox have started opening up as many of the windows as possible, they might need to be quite wary about the fact that maybe Bance is just going to be sitting around a little bit at the spawn and just try to peek all of the angles, but no, instead it's just Nazgul that just gets the kill. He doesn't care. At this point, there's not a whole lot of, well, strategical thinking there from Ferox. At this point, they just come in here to frag out.
Which is funny, because for Bance, it honestly looks like a fight for survival right now.
Yeah.
Even at spawn, they're not guaranteed survival. So, as I said before, you know, within a minute, someone's dead.
Yeah, and that's the hardest, the most difficult, really, playstyle to play against, because if they don't know what they do, and how the heck are you supposed to know what or how are you supposed to counter that? Because really, Ferox are just pretty much everywhere and nowhere, and with all these spawn peaks, it's incredibly hard to really predict any of those engagements. So, but yeah, look, at this point, Bance are certainly going to be struggling with just trying to figure out as to where to go, how far do they want to go, and which engagements to really take.
Man, Nazgul's just playing. Oh, hang on. He just finds him in the window there. I was gonna say he's just throwing offensive smokes at people now. He's on barely any health now, but with only one opponent, I think he's gonna be okay. It's Mixers, who did pretty well on the stairs here last round. Didn't get the quick kill they did last time, but only took a little bit of damage, so he'll be okay until Todd finds him. And now Ferox are on match point.
Todd once again on a roaming Maestro.
He was a good boy and stayed on site for most of that round.
He stayed on site for most of the rounds, yeah, definitely. But look, at this point, there's not much to be said really about this match apart from the fact that, well, 6-0. That's the scoreline. Bands unfortunately weren't able to find a whole lot of success for themselves here, and I'll be quite frank, I'm not particularly too hopeful about this half either, given that they weren't able to really find any round whatsoever.
Well, if there's going to be hope, I think it's going to be in this round here. This is where Ferox are feeling the cockiest. They're feeling the most powerful. They can do whatever they want in this round. They haven't dropped a single one yet. And look at it, they're pulling out Amaru, Finka, just to have a bit of fun. The Maverick's a bit interesting, but we'll see how that goes. Possibly just to open the main garage door. But yeah, if Bands want to win a round, I think it's got to be here.
Yeah, Bands certainly need to start their comeback on the defense. It's definitely going to be a little bit more favorable for them. They're certainly looking at potentially finding a few rounds to maybe even, like you said, get themselves some help in the tiebreaker against Elemental should neither of these teams pick up a single map.
Or even if they pick up one map each.
Or even that, yeah, that is another prospect to really watch out for. It's
10 seconds to
yeah, just the sheer fact that, like, if maybe Bands picks up Oregon, maybe Elemental picks up one of their maps tonight, that's gonna pretty much overturn all the efforts that have been done by Bands here.
Alright, any spawn peaks from Bance? Because it doesn't feel like it. You can see only one member really roaming here. The rest of the Ferox, though, are just rushing in as Oda bursts right onto the scene and just immediately grabs himself a kill. And they are going so quick. Oda doesn't even wait for his teammate to get out of the way. They're trying to get these kills here. Pretty low now. Nath on barely any health. Sorry, Mixers on barely any health on that Kayed. Trying to stay alive, but Bance actually swinging back pretty hard. And there's only Shade left now after the dust has settled.
There we go. Bands finally do find themselves an opening. And we'll be finally breaking the streak that was the 6-round streak there by Ferox and by none other than Cordial.
Yeah, kind of interested to see exactly what went down where Bance swung and just killed 3 members of Ferox kind of all at once. Obviously, it looked really quick. They adapted to it fairly quickly. Obviously, you know, losing one member right away is not good, but we saw Amaru rush in. I imagine everyone else rushed in at the same time, and not everyone would have survived along the way, but...
Especially under the Finka buff as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We can't forget the Finka buff, can we?
Exactly.
But here we've got Ferox doing the same thing. You know, they thought, okay, we dropped one round. We are still confident enough to mess around like this.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I would imagine maybe the next few more rounds, say 2-3 more rounds, we shall be seeing some few meme comps from Ferox just to kind of enjoy their time here. Whereas for Bands, this is a good opportunity to ramp up their comeback, maybe see what can be done about certain meme strats and how to counter them. I can see your surprised face about that Maestro camera, Smite, but that is actually just one of the ways to watch out for those plant spots, because usually quite a few teams do prefer to plant right to, well, theoretically, the left side of that double doorway once you make the entry into the console through the main entrance. So it's a good way to just gain the information as to when somebody's going to start just planting right there.
Yeah, and then you get the cherry on top as well. It's right above a hatch. So you can just get a little bit of extra sight lines. Ooh, speaking of sight lines, Nate almost found his, but Rebix will be thanking whatever god he prays to, as he keeps most of his health and importantly his head on.
Yeah.
Nazgul not so lucky.
Yeah. Nazgul didn't really get lucky at all, so that is a good swing here. Already an Amaro's peak, and oh boy, all hell broke loose there for a second.
Hello, almost killed his own teammate there.
Yeah, that was another thing. But there's already quite a few swings happening, and Band's actually winning out their gunfights in a very confident manner. Although Repix and Shade are still alive, and we've seen a few times that Repix was able to really clutch it out. Already finding a shot onto Nate, that is a solid beginning, and that is the control of the piano, might I add, nearly fully taken. This does open an opportunity for Shade to start actually applying some pressure onto piano as well, and make this as his, I suppose, foothold for the push.
Yeah, and they have got Hello pretty low, so if they can find him first, then that might be a pretty good ticket into this one, because as you can see, Ferox pretty low on the health bar here on Repix. Shade is going to have to try and do a lot of the heavy lifting, but that's 3 smoke bombs for Tracy, should he choose to use them at any point. Was he drawing a picture? I think he was drawing a picture at some point, but...
Possibly.
Yeah, the thing is, Ferox still have lots of time here, so in theory they can make this work. Here it comes, though, as now Hello should be in a bit of trouble. There he goes. And now we've just got Repix. He's got the line of sight onto the site itself, and there he goes. Shade, the next one to fall.
Yeah, right now the thing is going to be, can Repix really clutch out? But, well, that answer comes in rather quickly, as, well, he won't. Bands do score themselves their second point, although after a bit of a shaky performance, gotta say that, all that rushing business has certainly left them at quite a disarray initially. So they finally managed to get themselves back up and running. We are on a 2-6 scoreline, so still a 4-point differential is in place, and that is certainly quite an issue here for Bands. The mental fortitude question is going to be coming in play. The fact that how many, well, strats do they have for holding certain sites is going to be yet another question. And just general play style could be really changed around. We're already seeing Oda bringing in an ace over a thermite, which does indicate that the man is attempting to frag out straight after all the breaching is done. Whereas for thermite, well, yes, his gun is good, but it's not as good as the AK-12. That is the thing. And for this very site, I mean, firstly, it is a very unusual site. Visa and Archives is usually a very vertical site that can be played from all the way from the 3rd floor down at the bottom. And you can deny quite a few sight lines as well from the Archives position as well if somebody's trying to plant in the Visa Tel. So, not a bad decision, although the lineup for the defense is certainly does leave me with a few question marks, as there's only a single, two C4s, single set of the impacts, and after that, not really a whole lot of either trap utility or info gathering, apart from Hello's Evil Eyes and maybe a few captured drones, but I'm not really preying on that, given that usually those get expended pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's more of a little bonus for sure. Speaking of bonus though, Todd's been doing this every single round, and this is the first time someone hasn't died within seconds of him doing it, so I guess good news for both teams.
At least temporarily.
Yeah, well, I mean, it means Todd gets to keep his life. I think that's pretty good for Ferox. But yeah, they have been choosing to go in right from the 3rd floor, so they are going from a pretty top-down approach to go in and try and take this one. 2nd floor, sorry. Forget the basement's a thing.
Yeah. Look, it's a good idea. It's a sound decision by Ferox. I am, though, quite curious about that decision to maybe go for a bolt in directly, but Todd and Repix think otherwise. They're already going to send it. Already a push from Nazgul is there, but Hello does return some fire. So overall, right now, Bands might still be able to clutch it out, although Ferox are very much on point right now with their shots.
Yeah, 2 members down on the defense, though, and this Goyo here is getting a little bit aggressive as Mix is pushing up, and it pays off as he gets Nazgul. So, unfortunately, with his position revealed and actually pincered, Repix will claim his life right back. So now just Hello and Cordial to defend against this one. Pretty hard when the sites are on 2 different floors.
Yeah, now the main issue is going to be Hello's camera, because he's about to harass the Nomad quite frequently. The fact that Cordial is off the side is certainly going to be an issue, because now it is going to be down to the Maestro to try to prevent some of the plays, or rather dish out some damage. As it seems he is able to deal some of it, but now that his position has been actually drawn down, he might get swung upon pretty quickly.
Oh, it's going to be pretty hard to make his turns around this corner. Not much health on the Maestro. He's found the diffuser, and Cordial's found Shade. Repix has got to go back because Hello is just disabling it. Can he stop this? Will Repix get there in time? It looks like the answer is going to be no. He might get Cordial, but he can't get the game.
Yeah, Repix nearly could have gotten it, but did fumble around a little bit trying to go for a vertical game and just a second away from dying out. So
you could see the bullet in front of his face, the bullet hole.
Yeah, it was that close. But look, it's still a match point nonetheless. There's still few ways about it that could be done here, and good thing for Bounce, they just ramping up more rounds for themselves to potentially swing the tiebreaker in their favor.
Yeah, however, this could be the round where Ferox turn back on the serious mode here. The Amaru's not at least being picked just yet. 6th pick may change that, and maybe even Glaz will come out, and that could suggest actually we are sticking around to that kind of style. Not to say that Ferox are just looking to drop these rounds, of course, but they are looking to make Bance feel some feelings about losing this round, if they do.
Yeah, they certainly are giving a chance for Bance to really kind of fight back. It's almost kind of like that, you know, the father and son kind of almost relationship where it's kind of like the dad knows that he'll win one way or another. But just letting the son kind of just to enjoy a few more moments.
Yeah, but is this the moment where the son beats the father in the game when he's accidentally not trying for too long, you know?
10 seconds
I don't know.
Maybe.
That's definitely happened in my childhood.
5 seconds left before insertion.
We'll have to find out in just a short few moments whether that whole storyline will continue. But looking at the overall setup, I'm liking it from both teams, as a matter of fact. An introduction of Twitch is a good decision. Glaz, on the other hand, especially on Todd, not particularly too sure about that pick, although maybe the legend of the Flukemeister will come true here.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if they can get this wall open, then yeah, Glaz could actually get some pretty sick sightlines in here with his smoke. So it could be an interesting pick in how it works out. Obviously, they'll have to get the door open first, and with it being electrified, that is going to be a bit of a problem. Maybe Nazgul can sneak in there with a shock drone to disable some of the batteries, but no, it looks like it's actually just been opened. So with that now, they can try to use the Glaz in that certain sort of way, as Todd will pick up his first kill on the Glaz.
That was a one-tap by Glaz as well, I have to add, which was a really nice shot. So rightfully so, Mixers will be rewarding him with an NS, but Tracy does return some fire, so we're back to a 4 versus 4. This is still workable, but quite a whole lot of time the defense needs to drain out before any kind of continuation in their success.
Oh, hello. Bit risky there, and in fact almost walked into his death again. But this is just a big old Mexican standoff as Ferox standing right outside, Bance on the inside. No flanking, no dirty business. All honorable gunfights here, Cthulhu. Until Glaz comes in, then it's dirty snipers all day. But here it is, the first interesting play. Nath from above. And he actually is rewarded incredibly for that one to close out the kill onto Nazgul. But here's Refix actually leaving the site. Oh, but he's been spotted. They know that he's doing this. Can he get out of here alive? Or can he even get a kill from it? Nath looks to be hunting him down, but wants to stick around his spot too. And there he goes. Repix gets Tracy too.
Yeah, the trade-off of Tracy has been good. Repix does manage to push this into his team's favor, and it's all down to Hello, but Hello pushes it into 1v1, although now a single bullet from Todd should be able to end Hello's run.
It's Glaz though.
Both of them have their sights trained on each one another, but a quick cheeky swing could be all that is needed as Todd goes in for the swing. There we go. There's the win. There's the map. A good half, and Ferox win this matchup.
I mean, we kind of expected this result, of course, Cthulhu. The first map being won by Ferox. We got their map pick next. So Bance, not quite so successful on their own map pick, but you know, when we go over to Oregon next, which is Ferox's map pick, I mean, if that looked one-sided, Cthulhu, I'm not really sure what Oregon's gonna look like then.
Here's the funny thing, though. The scorelines that we did end up seeing between the two teams, at least kills-wise, did look fairly even at, well, again, kills-wise. Deaths-wise, we're not going to be talking about those. But look, overall, props to Bans at least for ramping up a fair few rounds for themselves and seeing what they can really do here. Unfortunately for them, it is a 7-3 loss for them. But maybe you want Oregon, they should be able to maybe ramp up maybe another 4 rounds to push it for themselves for the tiebreaker. But again, that's still very much under a question.
Well, it's going to be their last chance because coming up after the break is Bants Gaming and their last game of Season 3 here in LPL Pro. Make sure you come back to see if they can take down Ferox. Welcome back, everyone, to LPL Pro Season 3 Rainbow Six Siege. It's the last week of the round robin, and this is the last match Bants Gaming is going to bless us with here in Season 3. And, well, they better hope it's a win because they are down 1 game against Ferox and now going to their map pick, Cthulhu.
Yeah. Oregon is going to be the second map that we shall be playing, which isn't a bad map per se. Both of these teams have been pretty well versed on it, but it seems that Ferox are just feeling it a little bit more here, as we are just going to be transferring straight on over to the ban phase of Oregon. And it is going to be Bans who will be defending first. Their first ban is going to be Thatcher that will be coming out. And, well, fairly expected, gotta say. Nothing too unusual. A water dam will be coming out from Cordial. Maybe he's been expecting a different ban. Maybe he was voting for somebody different. But
maybe he wanted to ban Thatcher himself.
Maybe he wanted to ban Thatcher just by himself. But once again, a repetition, it seems, of the bans from the consulate will be coming out, as so far is just about the same. Now, if we are going to be sticking to the same bans, we are expecting a Mira and a Valkyrie ban from Ferox and Bans. But look, maybe we shall be seeing maybe a Maestro ban. Who knows?
You're definitely expecting the Mira from someone.
Oh boy!
But the Cav ban from Ferox, that Cthulhu, that's just a throwaway ban. Bans never play that.
Yeah, that's one way to possibly meme it up, but alas, a ban is a ban. It will be locked in. Mira is going to be the last one. Like I said, expected. Will be out of the equation pretty quickly. But look, gotta say, the decision by Ferox to maybe meme it up a little bit more is not a bad idea, although I would still probably stay as clear out of it as possible. But just as I say that, it's... oh god, it's a blitz pick.
Hey, look, if Ferox can get in here and make it work with teams like this, then they can go in and take that win and just take it in the playoffs. Bans, for them, it's about them coming up and saying, look, you've got to respect us more than this, than throwing these comps at us. We're going to crush you on this one. So you better hope, if you're a Bans fan, that's what's going to happen. Oh, all right. So no Blackbeard, but the Monty comes in.
Oh god, I'm getting the flashbacks of Ferox versus X-Stone, Villa, Smite. This is the exact same comp that they brought in back then as well. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
It is. There's the Ying, but this time played by Repix instead of Warden. There's Toad bringing in the Glass, trying to assert the Ying Glass meta. There's the Nazgul and Noda as the two shielded off. And Shade with a cherry on top as the Iana. Whereas for Bans, look, I mean, there's going to be a severe lack of traps to really slow down the push from Ferox, as it will be quite a swift and a quick one, I reckon. But maybe in the gunfight department, they might be able to outgun them, but that is still a very large question that is left unanswered.
They've got a lot of protection from projectiles for Bans, because they've got the Jaeger Wamai. They've also got the Vulcan shields for mixers to slow them down a little bit, but as we're about to find out, oh, watch out there, mate. As we're about to find out, it's going to be very hard to slow these guys down, because they just keep moving forward and there's nothing to stop them. Hard breach Monty as well. You know, it's been a nightmare for a long time, but we finally actually see it here in LPL Pro. I think I've been talking about this happening for a long time. Finally he does it. But with that, it's actually Nazgul to get the first kill. This is a quick blitz coming on in. Very, very appropriate for the name, and he just pulls the pistol out, disrespects the man.
Nazgul missing out and whiffing so many shots there as well. Will be only down in Cordial. That does leave only Todd and Oda to play. Well, Repix will be back up in action, but that is not the situation that you want to find yourselves in, especially as an attacker.
Okay, Tracy can play this well because he's water. Never mind, he's dead. Repix has got him. And Repix just barely alive himself, and he finds his final victim. I was just about to talk about, you know, Warden. Not really caring about Ying and her candelas, but turns out when it's Repix, well, you do kind of have to care.
Yeah, well, there we go. First round, that was, well, shouldn't have really worked out as well for Ferox as it did. Nonetheless, it worked out, and well, back to laundry we go, I suppose. There's not really a whole lot of ways to really describe it as, apart from a full-blown circus that was done by Ferox, and well, Bands got caught off guard there, I gotta say, because their lineup, I mean, they seen the Blitz, they seen the Glass, they seen the Ying pick, they seen the BB. Now we're seeing Oda bringing in the Finker, and...
Don't change off the smoke. He changed off the smoke. Okay, so
Yeah.
I like the Malusi, but here's why smoke would be really good. Maybe in place of someone else, you know, maybe Mozzie or something, right? Smoke. Remember that position that Monty went in and just hard breached straight away? Just leave a smoke there. It blocks the shield operators. Now, obviously, Monty's changed the Finker now, but smoke is still actually good against Finker as well. So it even still works out, but
I think it's more so just they playing for the fact of just slowing down the rush, kind of, or rather trying to get an indication as to when that rush is going to commence, and try to play around that fact. So Malusi gadgets are actually going to be extremely powerful here, and if Bats are able to play around them, they should be able to shut down this push once again, because playing around the Blitz rush is a decent idea, although it does require you to have at least 2 to 3 people kind of playing around it.
poor Nath. Balls of Steel. As it looks like it's actually been called the spawns on everyone else. And he's safe to just check the cams there, but looks like a different approach from Ferox this time. But is it going to be just as quick? Nazgul, he's got the shield, so he can just walk right in, but Repix is already on a rampage. Looks like it is just going to be just as quick here, Cthulhu. They're already down the stairs, moving on through the freezer, and now here's Nazgul. We're not even 30 seconds in, and there it goes. Repix, another one, still alive thanks to the Finker. Here's Nazgul, who can just stay alive and block one full line of sight away from everyone else. Now they have taken away Oda, but here's the Candelas. We've only got 2 defenders left already, and Bance, they're swinging back a little bit, but it needs to be a bit harder. Somehow Repix is still alive, I might add. Nath pre-fires through the wall. This is a bit of a dream, mate, as he is really hunting for something here. Here's Mixers, though, actually swinging around the corner, gets one, and he needs to find Shade. That's all that stands between him and another round. Shade in the 1v1 here against Nath. Very epic little battle we're going to have here. We've got the whole half the round here, Cthulhu. These guys can take their time.
They can take their time just pre-firing through all the walls possible. Shade do be looking a little bit spooked here, but decides to go in for the push and maybe swing at the Jaeger. Pre-fire is there, but the aim is a little bit sharper there on Shade's side. Ferox do win it out in a 1v1 situation, but yeah, look, this is feeling more so like just Ferox wanting to close out this game as quickly as humanly can be possible. Maybe just do a speed run of a official match.
It really is a speed run. I mean, the amount of time that had gone past by the point where, you know, normally you're like 20 seconds left on the round. 20 seconds had passed. And we were looking at a post-plant, well, almost a plant situation. You know, they'd already crashed onto the site. Finally, though, Bants aren't going to be going back down to the basement. It's going to be going upstairs to Kids' Dorm. So, a different little approach here, but you look over at what Ferox are bringing, and this looks still a bit serious, but they're still adding their own bit of flavor in here with the Glass, even the Ying, you know, combining those two. Gridlock 2 coming out, which is a face we don't usually see.
Yeah, Gridlock pick is definitely a much rarer occurrence as of recently, given that Nomad is just that better than Gridlock. But the decision to bring her in is certainly going to be a good idea, just because she can cut off a fair few of the rotations before the defenders can really start making through those track extinctors. So, not a bad decision, although, well, the comp itself that Ferox are bringing in is certainly unorthodox, to say at the very least.
very unfriendly to roamers. You look at it, there's nomad, there's gridlock. You're gonna be very hard to sneak up on these guys. But Cthulhu, what I think they're trying to play here is just make a huge amount of noise, a big ruckus when they go for a plant, because Ferox have been rushing every round so far. So why should it be any different here on round 3? It's a different site. Maybe that changes it, but look, already. I mean, okay, to be fair, that one's on ban. They went for that one.
Yeah, Nath kind of borderline asked for it, but got punished pretty quickly. I gotta say, Oda, while still took quite some damage, still was able to find that kill. There's still some presence in the, oh boy, in the attic, but we are just preparing for a full-blown or rather Glass Ying meta to be unleashed onto the double window, and all those smoke grenades starting to fly in. Candela starting to fly in. Oh my sweet baby Jesus, there's the Bolton as well. Smoke grenades dishing out a fair bit of damage. Shade does finally manage to find some sort of security here, and well, the plant will be stuck around. Although look at all this HP loss from Ferox. Already one down. Second one is about to go potentially, as the plant did go down, but Cordial is in full-blown safety. He needs to jump in, or rather needs another jump in, but there it is. Shade just swings, and that's all that could have been said really about round 3. There's borderline zero amount of brain activity on any strategical thinking there from the attack. It's just throw in all of your utility, dumpster all the site, go in for frags, and call it a day.
I don't think it's fair to say there's no thinking. It just happens before anything actually happens. They think before
I think it's
the
more
round.
so. It's more so just.
It's very,
the thinking is being done after all the dust has settled.
It's certainly an effective strategy, and it certainly combos quite well, and it basically just gives Bance a challenge to now get over, right?
Yeah.
Is that we know Ferox are going to pull this nonsense pretty much any time they can. Same site suggests that they'll probably do it again. So this time, Bance needs to be ready. You know, there's an excuse on the first time where you're like, okay, maybe, like, who knows what they're going to do? But this time you know exactly what they're going to do. They're not hiding it.
And here's another thing. I may have been a little bit harsh on saying that there's minimal brain activity. But think of it this way right now, for Ferox especially. They're currently just about, they're one day away from the playoffs, from securing it all, essentially. They need to, well, quote-unquote, hide some of the more sophisticated strats for playoffs, that's one thing. And second of all, they are just about to also play out their Oceanic National relegations, which have also been finished up. And the two teams that will be playing those relegations from the qualifiers side is, wait for it, PC419 and Rufflecopter. So, for Ferox right now, as long as they don't reveal any kind of strats, they're good. Because everything else is outdated, everything else can be pretty much written off by some of the other teams.
Yeah. So it's really the big brain 200 IQ play coming out for Ferox here. It's the long con here.
Yeah, they're playing the long game here. You know? They're playing the 20-second meta.
The IRL 20-second meta for the actual tournaments. I love it. But yeah, oh, straight in there. Okay, that's cool. We'll find them and actually get rewarded for it. They do just go for a peek and get vengeance for sure. But already we're inside. Where are these Candelas? Repicks. We want to start pulling them out here. As soon as that hole is in the wall, we're going to have the access. But no, he's obliterated the moment Otis steps through. And so this could be the one that Vance holds on to it. They've only lost Cordial so far.
Yeah, Ferox right now being punished quite severely about a fair few of their pushes. They are being kept very far away from the site, and really the only man around, or rather inside the building, is Repix, who has been wrecking some havoc here and there, but couldn't really do a whole lot of things, given that there might be a pick here, yeah, from Shade. So if Shade does connect that shot, this could open up a really good opening for Ferox and for Repix especially to take control of it, as the Ying is just going for a wraparound to jump into the window.
Yeah, I mean, Repix has just been running around clearing utility. Candela out now. What can he find with it? Did he turn away? It doesn't matter because he's dead. So one kill already under Repix's belt. This round could be saved for Ferox.
Most definitely. And their momentum could be saved as well. That does depend on whether Shade is able to stay alive and maybe get a frag onto, say, Tracy, who's currently just guarding very up close the diffuser and will be forced to fall back. So now his engagement is going to be with Repix and potentially could claim the life of Shade, but gets fully blinded. So right now it's up to Shade to actually get the gunfight, but no, gets down actually by the smoke, and this is an issue. Finally, it's a 1v1 situation, but Hello will be going also down. Repix is just off the hook here.
There's a second round in a row where Repix just finds his final opponent just standing there completely unaware and is completely rewarded for it. So again, that's another one under the belt for Ferox. So they are stampeding their lead ahead. Remember, there was one round where Bans could come back into it, that 1v1, and still Ferox stole that one away. And so, like we know, Ferox are not going to change anything. They don't need to. Like you said, can even hide future strategies. So why change anything? It's succeeding. We are going to the laundry though, so whether the same comp works there is yet to be seen. The gridlock is it's the one that I see being kind of swapped around here, depending on site, depending on how they feel about their opponents. But Twitch will be the one to come out. And I imagine, on top of the very powerful gun that people would like to have, is that getting the shock drones in there to get rid of any electro claws, so they can get an easier breach. Because you know what? They're all about rushing.
Yeah.
And those electro claws slow them down.
Look, main thing I'm looking is Nazgul's weapon of choice. It is not the F2, it is not the 417 DMR. It is the pump action shotgun that will be brought on board. Arguably the best mid to close range shotgun that can be, apart from all the slug shotguns. But still, for this push, a shotgun pick for Nazgul is a bit of a troll.
Yeah, but that said though, think about how Ferox have been playing up close and personal. They've been rushing right up into the faces of Bance, so I mean, while it might be unconventional, you can see some merit in Nazgul bringing the shotgun, even if it is realistically just to have a bit of fun for Nazgul. We'll see how much fun he's actually going to have. They're already very quickly inside, taking control of the area around the stairs, and then even seeing if they can get some presence from above as well. But of course, it's all about getting downstairs that they'll need to find, and those electrified hatches are going to be a little too annoying. So let's check out the stairs.
Yeah, Repix just decides to utilize his 85 drum mag just for the heck of it, or rather 81 button, and
attackers recovered the diffuser.
Quite unsuccessfully, as only Cordial took some damage, and now they're just gonna swap around and go for a push to the bunker and see what the heck is up.
Yeah, so Cordial's got his little corner with the shield. He'll be able to rotate out of there pretty easily. The trick here is going to be surviving for Cordial, if he can actually stay out of here alive. Mixers will pick up Nazgul though. Excellent little pickup here. Get the Twitch off the table, and now Bans are starting to fight back. And it's actually working this time. That's now 2 people down. Cordial didn't find anyone else. And Repix, he's starting the vengeance. He's had another teammate fall in the background. And here it comes. The vengeance doesn't happen though. It's the 3rd episode instead. Oda, what on God's green earth is this nonsense? Because I love it.
Yeah, Oda decided to try to make a prone hole to crawl through, but instead will not be getting any. Well, instead it's just a peek hole here for the man, and he's just gonna wait. He doesn't care. Tracy is back onto his position, although with no smoke bombs, but has diffuser, yeah. They know exactly where about is the A's, so now it's just more so who will swing, and it's going to be Tracy to actually go in for a swing to shut down the push. Finally, Bands do able to find themselves around after a 4-round streak there for themselves, but this was still a very questionable round. Well, not questionable round, more so for Ferox rather than Bands. Bands did everything right. They nailed their gunfights, they nailed their utility. It was all perfectly fine. It just felt like Ferox were almost running like headless chicken. And well, for the very same reason that we just mentioned before, they are trying to essentially conceal all the bigger brain activity for rather more so important matches that are the playoffs and then obviously the Oceanic Nationals relegation.
And it's crazy to show the gap as well between the top of the leaderboard and the bottom, because Ferox can just do this and they're not even worried in the slightest, right? Like, you know, they're still massively ahead in the rounds. They're 3 rounds ahead, right? They did this on the last map, and it's still, even when fans win, it gets a bit close. You know, that was probably the best they've won this whole series, and yet, you know, you were still thinking like, oh, is Refix gonna pull it back? Is it just gonna be stolen away from them somehow? Like, we're still not sold for bans just yet. Ferox are still just doing whatever they want and getting away with it.
Yeah, just the way how Ferox plays is just very much of a almost rank star kind of monkeying around kind of style where they don't really care about a few of their swings. Obviously they have the coordination and you can see their chemistry kind of coming through on a few of the peaks whenever they go in for coordinated swings from different locations. But apart from that, really, there's not a whole lot of, well, strats per se, given that also with the new season, Neon Dawn, coming up fairly soon, in a matter of a few weeks, I would be expecting that a few adjustments will be made, given that the changes, I believe, have been already introduced to the test server. So a fair few teams will be also scrimming there.
Yeah, that's going to be a real interesting time to check out competitive play for sure. Those first few weeks of Neon Dawn are going to be insane. But here in the present, Ferox, I mean, they might be thinking about the immediate future with their next matches, but they are having a blast right now, so far ahead. And we're straight into round number 6, their last round on attack here. So they'll be forced to slow it down maybe, or maybe not on defense, but we'll get there when we get there. Oda about to go face to face with the site, and perhaps a few opponents that he's going to be looking for too. Going to open a full-on walk-in hole. If they choose to use it, that's just a whole other way to get on inside, but could be a little dangerous.
It's definitely going to be quite dangerous as the C4 does fly out from Mixes, who keeps on quite clinically holding his position here in the attic, and he doesn't particularly care. Although Nate, that is a very cool angle that I don't think I've seen for a while now, so that is a solid opening here, and getting rid of another Ferox player is certainly going to be setting Bans up for a good chance to get themselves their second point on the defense. Although 4-2 whilst being on defense, now that is not particularly the scoreline that you're looking for.
Yeah, but that's the problem, as I say, as another member of Vance dies, is that Ferox always feels like they can steal the round away, even at a deficit like a 3v5, because as you can see, Todd's got another kill, and it doesn't look like he's going to get fragged back, so that's another one for free. They've just evened it up, and, you know, it doesn't feel like they're going to let it slip away again, but we'll hold on for sure, because Tracy's still got all of his smokes left. Not much health, but if he plays it safe, he can definitely get them all out. Todd, though, has stolen a pretty strong position, so he's going to be able to glass up pretty hard around this corner here, and actually take some pretty powerful angles.
Yeah, well, Cordial does find a kill for himself, and Tracy gets traded out. Right now, it's still very workable here for Bans. They should know that there is some presence by the glass, and the C4 from below could really make things work, because I believe that's exactly what Nate is going for. But there might be maybe a run up from the small tower. Oda needs to be shut down as quickly as possible, but no, there's some vertical play. Todd there can see the Jaeger from through the smoke and needs to go in for the frag. 10 seconds remaining. Push needs to happen, because right now otherwise this is going to be it. Cordial picks up 1 kill. 4 seconds remaining. Todd's getting tagged up. His location is fully known, and well, nothing less remaining as well. Bans do take themselves that second point, but look, this is not the favorable position, as now they are going to be transferred over to the attacking side, and a few questions still remain to be answered here for Bans, as in, can they pull off a better performance comparative on Consulate? Would it be maybe around higher? Can they get more points than they did in the previous map and push the tiebreaker rounds-wise against Elemental further, or whether it'll be a complete stomp here by Ferox in the next 3 rounds?
Well, it has to start now. Vance is on their last half of the season. This is where they want to pull out the big ones, the big guns, everything they've got. Because the map win here could keep them alive for sure, but they are definitely facing an uphill battle here as they swap sides, and it's now Ferox onto the defense. Now, I was looking at this comp and I was like, yep, this all looks pretty normal. This is actually pretty interesting for Ferox's game. Then I saw the Oryx. And Oryx is certainly an unorthodox pick on the basement, but not unheard of.
It's not unheard of, but Warwick's pick is certainly a good pick here, just to make sure that, well, you have some good flexibility about your roams, about where do you want to have your rotations, and maybe some rotations on the go. So, look, I'm not against it. I'm more so just curious whether it is going to work here against the lineup that Bans are bringing.
Wait a minute. I don't think they're going to stay on the side here, Cthulhu.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wait, maybe Shade will. No, he's coming up the stairs too. So, no one is on site for Ferox right now. I was wondering what was going on. And it looks like the first victim for that might be Nazgul. The second victim's going to be Oderd from Nazgul as well. So, a trade? Would you call that a trade?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they did exchange this thing a live here between the two teams, so theoretically it is.
Nazgul exchanged.
Nazgul exchange, yeah.
Well, regardless though, it still does put us in a weird position now. You got, what, 2 people on site now for Ferox? It's so hard to tell with how much they've been moving around, but Todd has now dropped down too. Probably quite a risky push from him, and now with that, should be easy for Bans to grab the diffuser. And I think they can hit up through bunker pretty well. It has not been set up as much as it usually is, as we've lost Nazgul now. This should be a pretty straightforward push for Bans through the bunker, but we'll hang tight because repicks is still a thing. But it's only a trade. He needed more than that to win this round here, because now he's left his teammate Shade all alone. Now Maestro, if there's ever an operator to deny plants, certainly one of the more fun ones, but always hard to do even when you're only on one person left for your team.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, at least he loaded up a fresh box mag, so at least he should have a good amount of ammunition to really go for. Does hear the indication about a push here at the front door and finds a kill, so that is a solid beginning here for Mesa. So at this point, really Shade needs to play a fairly passive game. He should still have the evil eyes to really gather information around. And with the fact that currently 2 players of the bands are, well, they were disconnected from each one another, he could have taken those 1v1s pretty quickly, although that swing could prove quite something different.
There's also no drones left, so if he does hold these angles, he could actually just pull this one off here. It's a 1v1 now, unless they pull Cordial back up. Oh no, you absolutely filthy boy, Shade. That's not allowed. What's Hello meant to do now?
Oh, with the minimal amount of health, well, really, just start backing out. Oh, a bait is coming out, but oh, maybe he could have outbaited himself here. Goes in for another swing, but Hello a little bit more prepared this time for this swing, and will be coming out victorious in that gunfight.
Very keen to make a little play there. I've got to say Shade was, and he almost made it happen too, but Hello doesn't fall for it, doesn't fall for any tricks, holds strong and holds the lines, and we'll pick up that kill right at the end. And it actually puts us with only 1 round between the teams, Cthulhu. So Bants are absolutely not out of this one just yet, but we gotta remember how close that one went. It went right down to the 1v1. It could have easily been 1 either way. So Bants look solid play on that round, but we need to see more, and it needs to come pretty quickly.
It definitely needs to be as quickly as can possibly be achieved. Looking at the lineup of Ferox, this is definitely a much less memeier lineup that they are bringing in. Nazgul now switching over to Rook could potentially signal that there will be a spawn peek from the man, given that MP5 with a 2-time scope is certainly one tool of a mass destruction, it seems, in Siege. Whereas for the rest of the Ferox roster, well, it's as kind of standard comp setup as it can get. You got Valkyrie for info gathering, you got the Mozzie for the drone denial, Smoke and a Jaeger for the standard site hold, and then, well, Nazgul now is going to be there, I'm assuming, to somewhat replace the role of the anchor Maestro, maybe with the 2-time scope. Maybe he goes for a few spawn peaks, who knows. It's Nazgul.
5 seconds remaining.
So is it just me, or is there a whole lot of reinforcing going on downstairs?
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse
That
it.
you are correct, yes.
Because that's quite odd, and perhaps that drone from Hello may have spotted out the shenanigans going on, but let's see if they've actually worked it out, because of course those reinforcements suggest some things, but Bants are a smart team. Surely they'll work this one out, but Todd, he's holding it like it is a basement site hold, but how's Bants going to respond to this? Because they're not going straight down there.
think they're just gonna full-blown ignore it, really.
As they should.
As they should, really, yeah. But theoretically, if they would have drawn it out a little bit more and figured out if there's going to be any presence on site, theoretically they could just repel in and hot breach straight onto site and take control and force this to become a site retake, rather, by Ferox, which could put them at a huge disadvantage. But knowing that full well that Repix is still feeling pretty hot about some of his frags, Oda is still there, now things could really be swung around pretty quickly.
Yeah, they quite likely heard that there were two people in the basement. You know, reinforcing makes a lot of noise. Your drones can even pick it up. But, of course, Bance, they haven't exactly gone down and found them just yet. I mean, even Repix is a floor below, can always swing back up to the stairs in the tower at any point. So you have to constantly watch out for that. So far, you look at it, we're past a minute down into the round. Bance have taken this one very slowly, and like we've been saying, as they should. The first sight comes out, though, but it's Repix to get the kill instead. Just barely with that amount of health as well. Literally 1 health.
Even Native is quite upset about that fact that Repix has been left on a singular point of health. But look at all of this as well. All of the doors have been barricaded, and now Hello, actually, thanks to those doors, able to pick up the double kill, which was quite a nice frag, gotta say. And that does put Ferox once again at a man disadvantage.
Throwing flashbang.
All right, and we've got the Ash flushing out the roaming smoke in the basement as Todd is trying to hold on. He's already thrown away one of his smoke bombs, so now it's on Cordial to try and drone him out. But this is already less than a minute to go, and you are 2 floors below the site, Cordial, so we do have to deal with smoke eventually. But we've got to look at the site at some point too for Bance. I mean, it's taking so long to deal with the smoke. Todd's doing a beautiful job.
Todd just essentially, without really firing his gun, is draining a heap amount of time. I mean, 30 seconds, the diffuser is on the opposite side of the map. And there's still some presence in the attic because, well, Bance never really went for a breach up in the attic. So right now for Nazgul, this is as safe of a ground as it can possibly be. Already a jump in was there by Hello, but unfortunately will be forfeited by Todd very quickly. Or rather to Todd, and well, Ferox just gets to sit on side, really. There's nothing that can be done, and Tracy will be having his time run out, and that's it. That's the round. That's Ferox winning out. Round number 8.
You are out of time.
Very interesting round. Hugely interesting round, and I think Oda agrees with me, because that was something else. Oh no, and yeah, they had IQ as well. They did have IQ. I didn't even think about that. To just find the site immediately. All right, yeah, no, okay. What a ridiculous one there. Obviously, Bance running out of time there. Thanks to definitely some shenanigans going on. Thanks to Ferox there. But look, I mean, hey, if you're going to take the round like that, I'm always happy to see it.
Hello?
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to stick around.
Yeah, thank you.
0 chance of it, in fact.
Good one. But yeah, look. Laundry room will be the next site, as it seems that Ferox are bringing in once again the composition that is pretty good for the anchor plays, and I don't think there will be some more downstairs shenanigans, at least this time.
No, they're gonna anchor. They're gonna roam from all the way upstairs, all of them.
Oh man, imagine actually like 2 times in a row baiting your opponent into thinking you're on a completely different site.
Well, they don't have IQ this time, so they can't check.
Theoretically, you could have addressed that as a semi-roast as well to them. They don't have IQ this time.
Oh, no. You think I'd do them like that, Cthulhu? Come on.
I mean, for roasting purposes, I would.
Oh, Oda, you found that drone. Hello had left that one up there last round, but here we go. Oh, come on, let him back in. Poor Oda.
Yeah, Ferox has been doing some few questionable things with just completely shutting down and closing down as many doorways as possible. It is almost like they're
who needs to crouch through this hole? You know what? I hate holding this point because I have to crouch through that hole. Let's just make it so I can walk. So much easier.
Exactly. Bance, meanwhile, will this time know that it is a downstairs site. No more bamboozling.
Oh,
as
look, can he see that?
Hello just took a chunk amount of damage, and yeah, just waiting for the peak out. But oh, actually does find the pixel point. I know, Tracy. No, you might want to get out of that position. There we go. Okay, so now Bance do set themselves up for a good beginning. Although now the fact that Todd is playing behind one of those ballistic shields is going to be an issue because the initial, say, a minute and a half will be drained out only thanks to Todd. And Bans are still yet to make an entrance into the building, into the bunker, and even then Shade is holding a pixel angle right around that corner, so it is going to be quite a tough one. And for Bans, I would probably suggest to start maybe thinking about pushing maybe the main stairs, maybe the watchtower stairs, and kind of completely changing your direction of your push.
Well, it looks like someone is, and it looks like Oda has found that person too, as he's taken a bit of damage in return, but the stairs where they're coming from, Mixers going to be droning on up. At the same time, the bunker push starting to happen, but I think they pulled back from it, Ferox have, just a little bit. Shade can't look at it at the same time as the stairs, so they can have a little less defense on it, but a lot of damage comes in onto Shade as he gets dropped down, and now Oda, his position very compromised. He's going to want to try and get out of there, and it's coming from every angle. The man can't move as the nade lands at his feet to signify that death, and Repix, he's got to save the round, and he can't do it. Bance, a flawless round.
Very nicely done by Bans, being able to play it out to their very best. Yeah,
Nice shot.
Big think there on Hello's comment about that one, but I suppose we shall ignore for the most of it what occurred there on the final kill screen. But look, back to kitchen, or rather into kitchen, as this is actually going to be the first pick of the kitchen dining hall. We shall be seeing from either one of the teams, and kitchen dining has been becoming more and more frequently picked, comparative to the kitchen meeting hall. And that said, looking at the Bans lineup, it's still a pretty solid one, pretty flexible, but it does quite a fair bit lean into, well, all the breaching, really. More so probably soft breaching than hard breaching, given that Mixers needs to get out close and personal with few of these walls, and potentially could also lose his life if he opens up one too close to him.
Did Oda just kill a drone while I'm making this hole? I think he did, but
Potentially.
maybe I just wasn't looking properly, but I think that would be really funny if that happened. But anyway, I want to point out that Mance is only one round behind. We were at this point before, but still totally winnable here. Yeah, Reapers, cover that one up. Bants are in winnable territory again, and it's even reflected in how Ferox are playing, right? None of the nonsense is coming out anymore. Even Warden's disappeared, obviously not in the basement, but, you know, things
that
like that.
didn't disappear, though. That triple stack of ADSs is sure as heck will be staying around. And maybe we shall be seeing it in full effect, because, I mean, being able to deny, what, like, 6? Yeah, 6 grenades?
Yeah, no change yet. That's all 6.
Pretty neato. I am though curious whenever that Jaeger rework does come out, how much will it affect the current meta? Because quite a few people were actually saying that it could change pretty much the whole pace.
We'll have to see, of course. As Nate, he's just opening the floor up entirely right underneath his feet, and so with that, we're just holding tight right now, waiting for Vance to see how they want to go in here. It's obviously going to be tricky to get through this one with all the ADS there. Oh, not a good time to zoom out there, Tracy, but unfortunately the kill slips away through his fingers, and now with that, we're still at 5 apiece.
And Nazgul does open up the scoreline there to potentially swing, but will get pretty much instantaneously punished. And that pretty much opens up Vance with a fantastic chance to really go in for a kill, but instead just only to get traded out, really. Because there's still some presence in the showers in the face of Oda, who just swapped over his position. And the smoke is still alive by Shade, so plenty of push will be denied for quite a fair bit of time, as there's still 2 more smoke grenades remaining.
Yeah, Shade can go super far back and still lob those smokes if he needs to. That's another one down now for the attackers, so Ferox might be looking to clean this one up, but it's Ferox. Hello and Tracy are the only ones left here on Bance, and one more Banshee and now goes down. Still a whole minute. There's Repix put onto his bottom, but no one to follow up on that one. He'll get to keep his life for now, but the important thing is all the noise that it gave off, and now they know where he is.
Hello only peeked at the camera to see if maybe he will get spotted, so that way the information will be saying that the Nomad is pushing through the armory stairs. But in the meantime, we shall be seeing potentially a push through the downstairs. Shade does get taken down by Hello very quickly, so that is a good setup for a 2v2. But 35 seconds remaining will be dictating the fact that the push needs to happen ASAP. Hello finding Repix is a good start here as well. Now it's down to Oda. The plant is starting to go down. It's up to Tracy. Tracy is pretty much being now just completely bullied, but he's actually sticking the diffuser plan, but no. Oda, completely knowledgeable about where the plant was going down, pretty much was as confident as it could get with his gunfight.
Man, Oda does it again. Once more, Ferox just take a round that was in the hands of Bance, and they rip it away. That could have been a way for Bance to get back in. That would have tied the series up 5-all, but now Ferox are on match point, and now, for the rest of the season, Cthulhu, Bance can't lose another game.
Exactly. This is the final chance out of all of them, and most certainly they will need to make sure that they will get all the rounds possible for themselves, because otherwise this is it. Well, as it is, this is already it. Only one round remains theoretically for Ferox to kind of shut it all down, prevent any kind of further advancement by Bance, and get themselves that 2-0 that they were also looking forward to, and potentially solidify themselves in the 3rd position, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I think if you're going to speedrun, then one of the criteria is definitely skipping overtime. If you go to overtime, then your speedrun's kind of automatically failed. For Ferox, they can still place on the leaderboard if they can take Bance down now, but yeah, one more round and you're kind of out of the chance for that one. For Bance, of course, 2 rounds in a row. That's all they're looking at here to stay alive. They've kept it competitive throughout this match. It's just been that slight edge to Ferox here, at least here on Oregon. Different story it seems, as Bance has kept up somehow throughout this one. But of course, as we can see, Ferox is certainly coming out with their full power compositions here. Now, obviously some mix-ups, like, you know, the Rook I think is a little bit different, but for all things considered, this is a comp that the whole team is working on. No one's just saying, like, I'm going to play this and, you know, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, definitely Ferox are certainly feeling a little bit more organized this time. Same goes for Bance, actually, given that they have already played a whole lot closer game comparative to the first map that was Consulate, and certainly showing that they're very much still deserving of being here, although not yet the top 4 material for LPL Pro, but they're really still there, still learning, still acquiring some VOD material for them to kind of just learn off.
Oh, Shade, he's going to go for the peek here. Does he go for a run out, though? He just hangs out by the doorway and is punished for it. And here's Bance's ticket back in. 1 down already. A great start.
Solid beginning overall. Now, Bance, to really assert the dominance, they need to take control of the trophy in the master bedroom, because while that ballistic shield and an opening in the... Yeah. And the opening
like, those are some fat ADS.
Yeah. Opening in the attic is still there. They might not be able to get a good solid advantage here. But yeah, that double setup by the Maestro cameras and the ADS is definitely quite a interesting prospect to really toy around. But already the breaching is going to happen as Oda does go in for the swing, but the ADS speed is absolutely minuscule there and will not be able to find the frag for the Maestro players. So, well, Bance 5v3.
Yep, that's step 2 done, and now they're working on step 3 here. As Todd in a bit of trouble, being forced all the way down the stairs. Nazgul was actually step 3, as he's now eliminated. Just Todd and Repix. 2 men you definitely can rely on to clutch, but a 2v5 clutch is a big ask. And Repix, he sees his first job, but has to just go for the escape instead and can't even get that, and now just Todd remains. It looks like Bance are going to bring us all the way to round 12, Cthulhu, unless Todd pulls out a miracle here, and it looks like he's feeling a bit tired. We'll just go for a bit of a lie down and wait until round 12.
Bit of a good night there for Todd at the end of the round, but certainly for Bance, a chance for the redemption here. They've been granted the final attempt to push this into overtime. Only 1 round away from that OT, from that the chance of all chances, really, for them to make an upset here and force themselves out of the relegation. Because if they do actually manage to pull it off, this will be a huge thing as a general shakeup for the leaderboard. Not only this will push Bans out of the relegation, this will put all the pressure onto Elemental for once, and two, for Ferox, this could potentially mean that if Exto win out 2-0, they will be contesting in a tiebreaker, and that is the last thing that Ferox want.
Well, if I'm Exto, I'm watching this match at least from now, because if Bance wins, that's the only way for Exto to get into that top 4. If Ferox takes any round from now, they win the series 2-0, they get their 3 points, and Exto can never touch them again. And so for that, Exto certainly want Bance to win the game here. They'll be praying for them for sure. But look at this, man. It's still 2 rounds they've got to get. Remember, Bance have to get the next round and then go to overtime. So the story is certainly not over yet, and Ferox still have all the cards to play. And they're playing full power, right? This is a comp that you see on this side all the time, right? Ferox play this comp all the time. And so, for this, it's the ultimate test for Vance to stay alive and take us into overtime.
It seems that this time Ferox have decided to finally kind of close down the whole storyline.
That might not actually be... Oh, no, because no action's happened yet, so it might actually be confirmed this rehost. Which is fair enough, and in a match like this, you want to make sure everyone's playing on the same footing, but waiting for the call. And once we have it, yeah, it looks like it's been confirmed.
Yeah, rehost has been granted, so we shall be leaving the 2 teams as... Oh my... Yeah, okay, right. Hello, we back once again, as we are going to the rehost here between Bance and Ferox. But look, this is oddly reminding me of the other time when Bance had a very unfortunate rehost that did result in them playing 4v5 in the last few rounds. So, look, it's only flashbacks for the time being. It's only a game crash from Hello. So unless Windows decided to magically delete the whole game, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be back in a short few moments. But that does give us time to maybe talk a little bit more about some of the storylines here, about some theory crafting as to what could have maybe happened should certain things well happen.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the most likely outcome tonight. At least, you know, so far, only statistically, is that Ferox pick up just 1 round, they make it a 2-0. So that leaves Bance still in the same place, no more points, you know, still tied with Elemental. If Elemental also don't pick up any games as well.
Let's get a leaderboard up.
Yeah, let's get the leaderboard up.
Let's get the leaderboard to actually get some good visualization as well for our wonderful viewers.
Yeah, so one thing to note though is that Ferox actually have 1 more point than they have right now, seeing as they've already won 1 map. So consider them at 12 points. And then if they win this next map, then instead they'd be at 14. So that would put them in 2nd place, which would obviously be pretty good actually. But then again, you're relying on PC419 and Skyfire to not get a win, to get a better seed or better than 4th seed. So for Ferox, it's still important to get another win here, if only just to put them out of reach of Exto Gaming.
Yeah, for Exto, pretty much they only looking at this very game, because after that, this is pretty much just kind of all the remaining games are for either seedings or the kind of question of relegation here, because if Ferox close it out 2-0, that's it. Top 4 is locked in. Exto are in no shape or form are making it into the top 4 position. And after that, for Skyfire, PC419 and Ruffle Club, it's just a matter of who gets what seeding. Whereas for Elemental against Exto, at that point, it is going to be the main question is, can they keep themselves out of the relegations once all the things been counted up points and rounds wise, and kind of just decide on what will be really the go for them, and if they would really need to prepare themselves for, yet another set of games, aka the relegations.
Yeah, the good news for Elemental is that at least they're gonna have a goal, unlike Bance, who just know they have to do better than Elemental, right? Like That's really your only goal. Elemental are at least going to know, at least after these next few rounds, do we have to just win a map? Do we have to win one map and then also get a better round difference to make the tiebreaker? We could get a 2-0 to just secure it, all of that kind of stuff. They're going to know all of that going into the match, so they can at least be pretty happy with that. It's it's not even an advantage really, it's just a feel-good sort of thing.
Yeah.
But for Exto, the story just remains the same. 2-0 is really all they're going to be looking for in that second match. Kind of regardless. I mean,
at this point, if Ferox do win it out,
then it's
2-0,
impossible.
at this point, it's kind of just playing it for fun and just seeing if maybe they could shape up the relegation bracket.
Yeah, force Elemental to go into relegation, right?
Possibly.
Exto, even if they don't have it in their power to make it into the top 4, they'll at least have that. They can take solace in the fact they can make another team suffer and go through the relegations.
Yeah, because at the very least for themselves, they don't have to, suffer after this week and after tonight, rather. Given that, that's going to be it for them after tonight. They're not making it into playoffs, they're not making it into relegations, that they just have there on the 5th point.
Yeah, unless we get Bance winning
Unless we
here.
get Bance to win, yeah.
Which, by the way, guys, we're very close to getting this rehost all finished, so it will be jumping up just in a moment, but of course, like we were saying, it's a shame that we had to go to a rehost because we were right there on the match point, with Bance just on their tail, like just in case you're just joining us for some reason. Bance on 5 rounds right now, it looks like they've been having some pretty solid ones where they can just consistently pick up rounds, and we're at the point where round 12, we're sitting here saying, who knows? It could easily go either way.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Oregon is a much more prepared map from both the teams. Consulate felt a little bit of a kind of just kind of throwing out there kind of pick.
It's interesting because it was their map pick.
Yeah, it was Bance's map pick, but they probably did this was one of their worst performances for a while. So seeing as now they've back onto Oregon into what seems like their also comfort ground, kind of puts me at a question as to why not, for example, pick some of the maps that they've already played previously, like, say, Cafe, Clubhouse.
I know, like Villa or Coastline.
Or even Villa Coastline, yeah. Those maps have been seeing a few appearances, even more so than the Consulate. So picking Consulates for themselves certainly was a little bit of a kind of, how's it going pick.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously turned out that way, unfortunately for them, but we're just about to jump in. In fact, we are jumping right back into it here. A reminder for everyone, Ferox, match, point to close out the series 2-0. Bance Gaming, they want to take it to overtime. They want one map, because it could be their only ticket to avoid relegation.
Yeah, only around to decide whether it's going to be overtime or not, but Laundry is going to be the pick for round number 12, potentially the final round between these two teams, but we'll have to see if that is going to be the case. Looking at the lineup of bands, this is looking fairly standard, fairly okay. Hello, bringing in the Nomad, he's been playing fairly frequently. It's either him or Mixes, I believe, who's been bringing in the Nomad. So nothing too unusual, gotta say. And this will mostly go down to how will, firstly, Ferox defend their place and how aggressively are they planning to do it. And secondly, it is going to be a question of how well can Bance take some of their gunfights here.
Now, the interesting thing here for Bance is that they've got the Mavericks, so Mixers will quite likely want to get into where Repix is right now, and just try to create those extra sightlines where it's really protected. It's very hard to find someone there. I imagine there's going to be a focus on the bunker here for Bance, but remember, Ferox have been a little interesting on the defense, so I wonder if they're going to do anything a little spicy around here. It is match point though, so you got to imagine they're going to be try-harding this one pretty hard.
Yeah.
They don't want to be dropping the map all the way to Bance here, or at least giving them the shot in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this before we went to overtime, where it seems like Ferox have decided to go full kind of sweaty mode, given that they've picked a much more conventional composition of their operators and just kind of playing it out by the book.
Okay, so it's going to be a pretty big top-down clear coming out here from Bance, and not actually focusing on the bunker for now. So interesting in how that one's going out, but we'll see how it does play, of course. Plenty of other opportunities for you to create those sightlines as the Maverick. But man, these guys want to check out the entire building. They are worried about the roams coming out from their opponents here. But here we go. We're finally at the stairs. Now we can start making our way downtown, finding our way in. This is just a crawl in through Nate. That's very brave for him to go ahead and do that, but already clearing out the utility, but still yet to face an opponent. There it is.
Found the opponent. Nate, unfortunately, will be going down to our gunfighters. I believe we just had another dropout by Bance. That does put them into a 3v5 situation, which is definitely not looking all too favorable, given that Ferox are still on full HP here all around. And, well, at the very least for Bance, they still have all the needed breaching utilities, so the walls shouldn't be an issue. Although right now it's the least of their issues. They need to make sure that their man disadvantage does get nullified.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive problem, of course, but hey, look, they can try and make it work for sure. Hopefully in time for Hello to come back here. Tracy now storming down into the laundry, and he's trying to find his first opponent, and well, we know that it's just around the corner. But is he going to be able to make the swing? That's going to be the question. Cordial as well, still just playing from above, so we're likely to just see Bance wait here until the reinforcements arrive.
And Nazgul is playing a very safe angle really here, not banking on some unknown positions from Bance really, and just waiting for them to rather push in before he's going to fire any shots. He is protected by one of those reinforced walls, and it seems right now Cordial, rather, is the one that is trying to just instigate some sort of chaos, but it seems that Bance right now are kind of locked in on their positions.
Cordial spent the last minute or so running back and forth across the house to get into new positions. And now, with 20 seconds left for Bance, Tracy didn't find that kill either, and here come the smokes. It's going to be impossible to get onto the site, so let's see if Bance can pull off the impossible. That's one kill, but they've just traded it back, and they need better than that. Oda has got himself a double kill, and just Tracy remains a lick of health, and it's all slurped up as Ferox claim map number 2, claim Oregon, and claim the whole series 2-0.
2-0, and just like that, Ferox do lock themselves in on the playoffs bracket in the top 4. I believe that does currently push them up on the 2nd position in the tiebreaker against Roffelkopter. But look, Smite, this has been a pretty close game, gotta say. Big props to Bance for pushing it this far to full 12 rounds, but an unfortunate loss will be keeping them down at the leaderboard, which will, I believe, should still be keeping them at a pretty tight tiebreaker. I'm curious as to what is actually the round differential between Elemental and Bance, but that is all she wrote for this matchup. Look, Bance couldn't really get themselves out of this issue yet, but maybe the tiebreaker will do so.
Yeah, maybe they've done enough to dig themselves out of the relegation with a tiebreaker, but it still relies, Cthulhu, it still relies on the next match tonight between Elemental and Exto Gaming. If you're Bance, you want Elemental to do as terribly as possible because otherwise you may be going to relegation. But of course, guys, that is all coming up after the break, so go grab yourself a drink and get ready because we've got our next match coming up after that break. Welcome back, everyone. We've got one more game for you tonight. That's right, it's LPL Pro and it's Rainbow Six Siege Season 3. Smite, Cthulhu, and we've got this last game lined up for you. This one's going to be fun, Cthulhu, because like we've been saying earlier tonight, it's all about shaping up that leaderboard, the tail end. We've actually got our top 4 teams already, so really, it's all about Elemental and whether they can avoid that relegation.
Oh yeah, Elemental certainly will be faced a fairly tough opponent. That is going to be Exto Gaming, and I'm quite curious to see whether they will be able to bring this over for themselves and push themselves out of the relegation position.
All right, well, let's take a look at both of the lineups here, because like we've been saying, this matchup, it's going to be a tough one for sure for Elemental, but Exto Gaming coming into this one. This roster, it's going to be interesting tonight because we've got Edpan coming in.
Yes, yeah. Following the disband of Bizarre, the team that Edpan early on joined, this will be Edpan's final run before his at least announced retirement from the competitive play. And well, maybe this is going to be kind of the last farewell, maybe the last game where he just kind of shines as the absolutely stunning fragger that he is. And we'll gotta see how things will really work out here.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, his teammates aren't exactly pushovers either, right? You've got Oblivion, who's been having a great season, Geordie as well, so keen to see how they go tonight. But their opponents, Elemental Gaming, it's all about their story tonight. They want to overtake Bance. They want to just crack out those rounds for the round difference in the tiebreaker here tonight. Now, we got the lineup here, Cthulhu. We got Fluxu, Supremacist, and Dinkle all playing on the same night.
Definitely, as well as that Chiron distance will be joining them as well. So this is probably the renewed kind of cool lineup that Elemental did want to see. Supremacist joining for the last 2-3 weeks has definitely shown some promise as well. So certainly a few things could be going here for Elemental now that they're going to be playing on the full lineup. As we'll just have to see how things will really unravel here for them.
Yep, certainly a lot of promise from this roster here, and also in their player for the key player matchup. Now, of course, it's always going to be a tough one for him, but Sawyer, the man has been almost the face of Exto Gaming for the last few seasons here, but he's going up against Fluxus, who, for this season certainly, has been the face of Elemental, getting in there in the interviews and making his face known. So, in this matchup here, how do these two captains match up?
Yeah, look, at this point, this is going to be the kind of the battle of the brains, I suppose. Both of these captains are pretty solid on a few ideas here and there. Sawyer may have seen a little bit of a departure from some of the fragging roles that he's seen previously, now that he's transitioned also to the coaching position of Noble. But nonetheless, still has head full of brains, very wrinkly brains as well, and is Fluxus. The man has been pretty solid on fragging, pretty solid on leading his team. So it's going to be down to which team will be able to just outsmart another.
Well, they can have their opportunity to do that here in this match up today. We've got to talk about the maps that we're going to be going to as well, Cthulhu, because it's actually kind of an interesting little one here. Because first up, it's Cafe, picked up by Exto. Lesser picked, but, you know, we still see Cafe sometimes. But then Consulate, you know, we see it never for the whole season, and then twice in one night. Picked up by, surprisingly, Elemental. So it's both the teams facing relegation that have picked up Consulate, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
you gotta say, but that's where we're going to be going.
Yeah, we started on Consulate, and we will be finishing tonight with a Consulate as well. So quite curious to see what will be the kind of the ending of it all, because whereas with Ferox versus Bans, it was kind of expected win for Ferox. For Exto, they've shown us a little bit few, how should I say this, questionable performances as of recently. So this does give Elemental a bit of a higher chance of maybe winning out a map and pushing themselves out of that kind of potential for the relegation.
Yeah, so of course, Exo, not too much else on the line now. Like we've been saying, their top 4 chances were actually just shot down a few minutes ago when they were stolen away from them by Ferox winning that series. But yeah, for Exto, it's going to be about just going out with a bang. I think they know that as well, because they've brought in Edpan. They know that it's just to have not just a little bit of fun, because that puts maybe a little too casual, right? Go out in a bit of a blaze of glory, I think is what they're going for here. Last little chance to shine off for the season, which I think is really great to see in here.
Yeah, well, we'll get to see that chance right about now, as we are going to be kicking things off right on Cafe Dostoyevsky. See whether Elemental will be able to bring this back, at least for a single map for themselves on their opponent's map pick nonetheless, or whether it will be Exto Gaming to just assert their dominance. Fun have, luck good. Thank you very much, Elemental. Very cool. Well, first ban to be coming around, that is going to be the Thatcher, as fairly expected ban there for this map, given that I don't think there will be a whole lot of maybe meme bans per se, but just as I said that, maybe Exto will do this one. Oh boy, few memes, few bans.
Maybe no memes in the bans, but definitely in the chat.
Definitely in the chat, yeah. Well, Maverick ban from Exto is sort of, kind of odd, different, because he's not as potent, I feel, on this map. Maybe for the downstairs side, but that's about all.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to think about when was the last time you saw a Maverick on Cafe, just to kind of know how off off-place that ban kind of is, but well, my ban definitely it speaks to me, right? Because this is a operator that people play on all the time, strong on basically every map, so get him out of there if you're not going to use him.
Yeah, with Wamai out of the equation as well as Valkyrie, things are certainly going to be quite interesting for the defense, for the sheer fact that, firstly, they're going to be very limited on how many projectiles can they catch. They're also going to be very limited on the information that they can gather, given that, well, Echo is still in a quarantine. Maestro is one of the few only ways to do it, and you need to also prey on the fact that if you bring a Mozzie, that the Mozzie drones will be caught and you will be able to run away with them before they get shot by the attack. So, few ifs there, but apart from that, really, there's not much to be done info gathering wise. Or maybe, sorry, bulletproof cameras as well. Pardon me.
Yeah, no, that's certainly one other way to do it as well, but another way that we might see coming out here is definitely a frag-heavy playstyle. Remember that, of course, Exto want to show off a little bit tonight, want to go out in a bit of a blaze, so you can imagine them to be doing some certainly fun things, but certainly some flashy things, I can imagine, for sure. So we'll definitely have to wait and see how that does play out, but it is going to be on the first floor here, down on the ground level, to kick things off. Elemental on the defense first, and so what are Exto Gaming gonna bring out here? The Wamai ban, probably the only real differ. Oh, I guess along with the Maverick, yeah. So, but Maverick, I'd say, just doesn't really factor into it too much. Just an empty ban. Whereas the Wamai ban is like, you know, who's gonna hold certain spots that Wamai usually does.
Yeah, Wamai is definitely a very impactful one. Maverick is, like I said, it's definitely not the one that we usually used to see on Cafe, but it could certainly still impact a few decisions there from the attack. So we'll have to see. Looking at the lineup though of Exto, I am liking what I'm seeing. There's plenty of soft breach. There's well, theoretically plenty of hard breach in face of Jordy, so they need to keep him alive. And there's some roam clear as well, and Jordy just seems to really not care about any of those prospects as, well, there's already a breach happening.
Yeah, but there's also a battle happening, and Jordy's kept his head on so far, but it looks like it's slowing down just for now. No one's going to be thrown out the window. Another man that we didn't actually point out was TVCX is actually going to be jumping onto the lineup tonight as well. Another hugely powerful player for Elemental.
Distance.
Yeah, so distance, definitely a tough one to replace for sure, but TVCX, as you can see, is certainly a replacement that does the job as well. And so he's kept his head on for now, but just barely.
Yeah, still able though to keep control of the walk-in closet as well as that Supremacist there to assist with the hold. Pretty much will be keeping the diffuser very safe. And now for Michi and Soya, they need to go in for a pincer move if they do want to retrieve the diffuser, but apart from that, there's not much to be done. Fluxus does get taken down though, so maybe a push straight onto side and then get rid of Cairo and kind of swing around could really work out, but for that to really happen and work out, Exto do need to pretty much run away with no health lost as Dinkle already goes into the swing.
Oh, not far enough on the swing though, but he does eventually get Sawyer down. Michi will be the last one to fight. Will he be able to survive? The pistol's pulled out for Dinkle and he finishes the job. Elemental picking up round number 1 here.
There we go. First round to be won out by Elemental, and that was a very dominant start, gotta say. That was very well done by TVCX as well as that. Supremacist held his ground very well, and just, yeah, look, Exto's attack has been just completely cracked down upon and just completely shut down right at the very beginning.
Just round 1 though, so things can certainly change. A lot of teams definitely take some time to get warmed up for sure. So maybe that's the case here with Exto tonight, but for all things considered, Elemental, solid little hold, you know, they just won the gunfights where they were meant to and didn't give anything too far away. And then, of course, TVCX swinging in for a hard double kill. But with that, question's going to be, can they keep it up? We'll have to see here in round number 2. Jumping into it, again, you look at the defensive lineup and, you know, they've got plenty of traps, plenty of ways to slow the attackers down between the smoke and the Goyo, right? it's going to take so long to deal with all of that, and you're not even considering, you know, dealing with the roamers. You've got possibly TVCX roaming all over the place. Even Dinkle, if he wants to, could roam. Both players have done it before in the past and had great success. So, you know, this is definitely a scary little lineup to go against if you are Exto, especially after what happened last round.
Yeah, Exto need to maybe rethink about their push and how do they want to do it if they do want to maybe come out with a couple more damage before the end of their run. But it seems that
the run out onto the drone, you got him. I don't think he even got it.
I'm confused there for a second as to why did Cairo decide to do that, but nonetheless didn't take any damage, so I suppose not punished for that at all, so all good, all fine.
Yeah, I mean, he gets out of it with his life as well, but it kind of suggests something to me, like, if Cairo is willing to do that on the smoke, like, what else is he willing to do? What else are we going to see coming out from Elemental this game? It's maybe a little bit of a teaser, but we'll just see. We've already had a roaming smoke tonight, so maybe we'll get it. The roaming Maestro as well. Maybe we'll find that later too, but for now, it's all about whether Cairo is going to be that roaming smoke.
Yeah, the roaming smoke has already been shown to us by Todd, I believe, and Nazgul as a matter of fact. So nothing too unusual at this point, although Exto need to be very cautious about whether they want to peek and push, as already some presence is being shown in the panel room, and Dinkle, only with a single ADS, will have to will be forced out very shortly, I feel.
Oh, but he still pulls off the kill onto the diffuser as well, so he might actually be able to hold a strong position here if he can pick up 1 or 2 more frags. They certainly have to deal with him now. He's demanding it. And that frag, though, is going to be, well, not eaten up by the ADS. It's already been eaten up, and now Goyo shield down. Fluxus forced back a little bit.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Yeah. For now, it's just only a little bit. At the very least, the push has been pretty successful with Oblivion finding the shot onto Supremacist as well. With Dinkle out of the equation as well, things for Elemental are going to be looking a little bit rough. Although only a single person disadvantage, make it nearly equalized as Oblivion does get dropped down amidst all the chaos. Maybe we shall be seeing a complete change around, but right now Michi sitting in a very dangerous position as he could have been shut down in the moment's notice.
Yeah, very out in the open for sure. And speaking of out in the open, it looks like Edpan was caught out there. He's dropped down, but he's not out just yet. Fluxus under a huge amount of fire, but has eaten up so much of the attacker's time here. Look at it, 30 seconds remain. We've got Edpan on the ground, Oblivion on death's door as well, but Exo have no choice but to make a push onto the side. They have the diffuser in hand, so no excuse to do it. Oblivion, he's looking up and praying that any of these shots are going to be hitting. But here it is, the big push. Fluxus is ready to pop out anytime he's needed. Cairo as well. He's the first line of defense that's fallen down. The plant is going in. A C4 is claimed to life, and everyone is falling. Fluxus about to be forced out of the bathroom, and that plant has been completed. But all the attackers, they've been eliminated. TVCX.
Yeah, TVCX doing some phenomenal job there for his team, pushing in right whilst Fluxus kept on distracting the Zofia. Done a phenomenal job there for himself. So Elemental now managed to claw away 2 rounds in a row in a very good fashion, really. Gotta say, their defense has been so far really well coordinated. Even though a fair few gunfights were lost by them initially, they seeming to be able to just make things work. Their roam game has been absolutely great. So nothing really negative to say, at least just yet.
Yeah, it's been solid. It's been really good to see. A really good performance from TVCX again in that second round. Pulled off a triple kill overall. And then you've got Fluxus holding down the position for the longest time as well. So, you know, props to him. We obviously saw time was a big issue for Exto. Even though they did get the plant down, they have to do it in such like kind of an awkward way that Elemental could retake. And so, yeah, it all comes back down to Fluxus, bringing that clock down to 30 seconds. But can they do it for a third round? That's going to be the next question here for
Bomb
sure.
located by attackers.
We've got Supremacists now going onto the Pulse, so another form of, you know, quasi-intel. Of course, you definitely want to find those kills with the C4 through the wall or through the floor. And he'll be looking for that a whole lot through this one, but lots of traps again, Cthulhu. Not quite a Goyo, but you've still got things like a Legion hanging around.
Yeah, Legion, there should be
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
a very good pick just to slow down the X2 push even more and give out plenty of the information as to where that push could be coming from. The pick of Supremacists onto Pulse could have been a good decision, same as Dinkle, but Dinkle just decides to go for the spawn peak that gets punished pretty quickly once again. Oblivion, though, will be left on just about 35, maybe 40 HP, which theoretically could assist Elemental further down the line, but that doesn't stop him from throwing frag grenades, from breaching all of these walls, and well, that's the main issue here for Elemental. They are not eliminating the utility that the attackers are bringing.
The other good thing about Oblivion staying alive, and you know, even though he's on low health, is that he can stay pretty safe while he's just lobbing the nades from above, right?
That is true.
But of course, the stray clip from you know, a few shots, kind of in return to guess where he is. You know, it's only going to take a few bullets to hit him, so low health could bite him. But here we go, Edpan making a very aggressive little swing here into the white hallway, but doesn't. Oh, actually, it's Supremacist on the other side of the map, actually just below, I might add. Just already dropped down. Not quite sure how that happened, but he does manage to get back up, and so he'll be all right. But quite hurt.
Interesting to see that a fair bit of utility from Edpan has actually been used up on the top floor, whilst already the whole of the defense squad has dropped down. And Supremacist actually managed to down Oblivion, but the man will be picked back up. Fluxus could be right now hunted down, and well, surely will be down pretty swiftly. Jordy is there to finish him off, and that is the control down below also established. Now there's the potential that Elemental will be pretty much pinched from below and from above, but Cairo has something to say about that, and at the very least will be making it not a flawless round, and so is TVCX, who was able to shut down the Pillars presence.
Yeah, and now there's actually just a minute left, so they've lost one member but traded it back, but without TVCX. This actually puts them in a rough position because there goes the last man as Exto. It takes them until round 3, but they finally get a point on the board.
Yeah, there we go. Only one round differential there between the two teams. Is not a bad beginning for either one of them. Exto certainly were maybe expected to get an early advantage straight away, but it seems that the Elemental are certainly quite prepared. They want to win out this match at least by a single map, so just ensure that they by any means are not going to be making it to the relegations.
Not too surprised to see the Monty swapped out. Bit of a challenging one to make work in the pro scene these days, so Zofia, I guess we'll have to do. As
Defenders, protect your bombs.
turns out that operated pretty good in competitive play, but back to where we started here, back into the kitchen. This one went pretty well for Elemental last time, so we'll see how they hold it here again, but yeah, I mean, over on Exto, their operator lineups looking pretty similar, right? Like, they're not bringing anything too crazily different, not looking to change up their strategy or, you know, adapt to anything that Elemental are doing, because they're doing basically the same sort of thing. So, a lot of very quick, speedy operators on their side, actually. No 3 armors. A lot of 3 speeds, so Elemental, I can imagine, they're going to have so much flexibility to roam, and you can go for spawn peaks, because you can just run back to the site if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, the only thing that Dinkle needs to be wary is that last time he tried to go for a few spawn peaks, he got taken down pretty quickly, so he needs to be very cautious about that decision, and it seems that he will not be contesting those positions, so that's a good start. Although now comes the question as to where is he going to be playing around, because the Brony is a very powerful weapon, but it has a very limited mag size, so he can take about a single gunfight before needing to reload, and that could really be the issue for him. Although, well, maybe he'll just be playing a very anchor heavy, or maybe the light flank.
Right now it's Oblivion finally finding his first opponent here. He's got the frag in hand, so TVCX could be in trouble if he wasn't Jaeger. He can just eat up any frags he wants to, but that's one down for Oblivion. Probably wants to call in the stun grenades to eat it up a little bit first. There should be at least one more charge in there. We finally found the Mozzie, by the way. Dinkle's going to be flushed out just a little bit. So Exto, nice little solid progress on, you know, clearing out some of their own, but also making progress on the side at the same time.
Device planted.
Yeah. Goyo looking a little bit. Oh, Goyo would have been a little bit of a good decision, but yeah. Look, for now, Noble representative that is Sawyer will be falling down to yet another gunfight of supremacists, and there we go. Dinkle unleashing finally his power. We'll be finding one of the frags. There is still one down player. We'll be finding another bean right into Oblivion. Now it's all down to Jordy, the Ash main, who finally will be able to shut down the play of the elemental player. But right now, being caught amongst all of those crossfires is certainly going to be an issue. MP5 is there to also do a little bit more damage, but finally, the revive just comes in clutch. But well, by that time, Fluxus is already out of the position.
But he actually got Sawyer back up. That's incredible. Off the back of an air jab too. So they can actually make this a 2v2. They can actually approach this so much differently and so much better. So a big move for Exto. They had the time for it too. So they can still plan this out a little bit, but getting kind of close to the point where they do just have to make the push. Cairo eventually finishes off that drone, but here it comes, burning the ADS. Cairo has swung out hard to try and make this an aggressive swing onto him. The first smoke comes out. This is where things get tricky here for the defenders. Fluxu's trying to flank, but he's been spotted. No one's going to be falling for that one. One attacker falls, and it's only Sawyer left. He can't even hope of getting this defused and back here safely. As you see him just get ripped apart by Cairo.
And there we go. Third round for Elemental. On the defense, certainly looking very dominant there for themselves, and being able to completely shut things down, and definitely looking like EXG are feeling a little bit out of their element. It almost seems like. And
did you do that one on purpose?
Hmm?
Did you do that one on purpose?
Actually, no.
Out of their element?
Yeah, that I only just realized that. And well, puns aside, they certainly looking a little bit shaky on some of the execution, some of their performances, and I don't really know what exactly they need to do differently apart from, well, saying the ye old silly line of just click heads better, because their execution and the ideas for the operator picks are good. Their strategies seem to be at least sound.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
It seems that the execution is just the main thing that is being an issue, and the fact that they just keep on not really counting in for the fact that Elemental is going to be going for the swings at them rather than just trying to play the more conventional anchor game.
Yeah, I mean, remember at the start of the night when I said Kyra is going to be playing maybe a bit weird on the smoke? Now, that hasn't really played out. He's been playing it pretty standardly, but it's still been kind of aggressive, right? Like, you saw that swing at the end of the last round there. He did end up going down, but look, no, he didn't go down, actually. He survived. So, look, he's being real aggressive on that, but just within the confines of still being an anchor. So, I like seeing it come out from Elemental, but it's also, you've got to remember, the roams from their team have been a monster. Like, TVCX is always demanding so much attention. Dinkle's been finding kills as well, so Exto, they've got to hunt them down before they can properly commit to the site, and sometimes that leaves them with not a lot of time to go.
Yeah, Exto has been pretty good on that one round that they were able to win out, to just hunt down whatever the subject that they do need to really eliminate out of the equation. But it seemed like they just, after they managed to hunt down, they can't really find any further solution as to what they want to do. Finally, though, Oblivion does manage to get rid of Cairo, and that is a very important pick, given that that is the smoke out of the equation, and quite a heap of the utility gone. So now it's all down to just active plant denial, C4s, gunfights, and just general slowdown with the Melusi Banshee devices.
Yeah, but definitely never want to lose your smoke first. You always want them alive at the end. Now look at this. Exto is starting to make some swings here as that EE1D does come out. Edpan going to be outside, so it's actually, well, I was going to say Oblivion taking advantage of it, but it looks like, well, Fluxus pulled the old reversal here. Appropriate on the mirror. Reflecting it back on him.
Kind of just sending a no you back to Exto. But look, at least already half a round has been completely and utterly drained, so by this phase, really, Exto are the ones that are starting to lose out their opportunities. There's about to be a swing onto Dinkle, and I'm not too sure which one of the parties are ready about the peak. Jordy knows there's some presence, but MP5 is a little bit better. The down is there, and the line charge is coming out, but the pickup is still gonna come around. TVCX will be taken out by Soya at the very least, so we're back to a 3v3. Health is kind of overall in favor of Elemental, but if Dinkle goes down, this is all of a sudden going to be Exto's round for the taking.
Yeah, it just favors different sides, right? But Dinkle's pushed out pretty far for someone on that much health, and, well, we know that he can't get back anymore. He's pretty much stuck in this position here, at least until they look away, and it looks like that might be soon. He's just waiting for his moment to swing. He's got a C4 in pocket too. Pretty close, I might add. So he's definitely in yeeting range. Can definitely get a kill, but also might just do it the old-fashioned way. Remember, any stray bullet hits him, he's done. But he's managed to swing some damage back, and there it is. He gets Mitchy, but it is a trade at the end of the day. 20 seconds left. Sawyer pulls out the E1D and pulls out the gun, but still no way to get on the site. But they just got rid of Supremacist. Just Fluxus to stop this plant, as both Edpan and Sawyer will be able to fight back. No, he stopped it. Can he make it work? And he does. Fluxus with the double kill at the end.
Absolutely pogging out there. Fluxus does manage to find himself a phenomenal 2K at the end, and well, that's a 4-1 scoreline already. Elemental leading a very dominant scoreline here against Exto Gaming, and Exto just seeming to be completely unable to really find any kind of solace for themselves, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to come into this match and, you know, say, okay, Elemental, every single round's going to count because you want that tiebreaker difference, but at this stage, they could just win the map.
Yeah, if they do win a map, that's it. That's pretty much, that's a done deal. That's a win for Elemental, and after that, it's pretty much they wouldn't really care about what happens after it. If they win out this very map, that's the bare minimum achieved. They're staying out of the relegation.
Yeah, so with a 3-round lead, I mean, that is massive, and they're looking to make it a 5-1-1/2, but we'll hold our breath for that one, because here we go. It's just been down to the wire in a lot of these matches, so, you know, each of these rounds are feeling pretty coin flippy, like they can go either way. But for now, I mean, you might look at the score and be like, what's he talking about? 4-1? How can it go either way? But
now we've seen a fair few of those swings.
yeah, you look at each round, and, you know, I think there was one flawless round by Elemental. Other than that, though, most of the rounds have come down to either 1v1s or something close to that, you know, a 1v2, 2v2. So easily Exto could have taken quite a lot of those rounds. It could easily be 4-1 in their favor, but the point is Elemental have taken the lead, but each of these rounds could easily go either way.
Yeah. And even the scoreline itself, even when the teams reach the match point potentially, a few of the rounds could be thrown pretty easily. So I'm not excluding any of those scorelines to be swooped around in a matter of just, say, 5-10 minutes. So right now, what Elemental are doing essentially is just setting themselves up a few more rotation holes, maybe a few bait positions to play around and see what can they really do about certain positions, whether they can bait some of the attackers to really go in for the push at that certain rotation hole where they can have a crossfire and completely shut it down. So for Exto here, they just going for a stock standard kind of top-down clear, make sure that not a single corner is being left unchecked. So that is a very sound idea, given that they still need to get a point if they do want a very comfortable ground. Supremacist does get lit up pretty substantially, and I would probably advise for him to drop down, so he does. And now it's more so for Exto is how much utility are they actually going to gonna drain before they even make a push, because already Edpan is starting to waste his smoke grenades, his Selma charges. The C4 is about to fly in and get rid of Oblivion. So 4v3 situation is already a good beginning. And another one with a grenade.
Wait,
no, Oblivion. No.
That's not a C4.
That's
not a C4 at all.
not even the impact grenade. And that is an F there from Exto. Another C4 to be blown out, and now it's Dinkle who whips it and just freezes up. That's it. That's a 2v3, and look, I don't know what is happening. It is pure chaos, but Fluxus could potentially maybe close it out here because Supremacy is extremely low in health.
I'm sorry. He threw it up and it caught on the lamp, and I was already laughing at that point, and then he just got shot in the face looking disappointed at it.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Oh my god. Okay. Elemental have lost someone else.
That was Supremacist.
Yeah, and now they've just got Fluxus and 1v3. Hey, look, that's one. He's got no more EE1Ds to worry about for sure, but the plant's now coming out. And this is, of course, the big problem. Fluxus, he hasn't got too much info on where the attackers are, but he sees them just there. But it's not enough of a jump scare to turn his face down.
Yeah, 2 guns trained right at that angle. Certainly the last thing that you would want to see, but still, Elemental do finish with a 2-point lead against Exto Gaming, and yeah, look, we're not talking about that one, Sawyer.
What was that round?
Oh, I don't know.
What was that round, man?
I don't know, man.
How do they still win? Still
Yeah.
winning after impact nading your own guy.
Yeah, too many questions, too little answers, I feel, at this point, Smite. Well, we do know for sure it is going to be a bar pick from Exto for their defense. Looking at their lineup, standard Mozzie mute combination, bringing a Jaeger now that Wamai is kind of out of the play. Smoke and Vigil, well, I mean, Vigil is probably the main thing that kind of catches my interest here, given that for Exto, they haven't had a whole lot of success for maybe some wrong clear or wrong play. Instead, it's Edpan who will be trying to do that. Edpan was a phenomenal Roma, I gotta say, when he was back at Exto, so wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden he would be the one to actually just go absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I can imagine, you know, he wants to play the operators kind of like Vigil, where you can just pop off. You know, the gadget's all designed about making you really good and not so much about helping your team. So he's really looking to pop off here. Maybe get a few, you know, peak outs maybe. I mean, they're still trying for some of these. I can imagine Dinkle. No, sorry, not Dinkle. He's not playing the Aussie this time. Sorry, Geordie on the Jaeger.
Yeah, Geordie on Jaeger was actually pretty hype. Moment whenever he would get a 2 or 3K. Oh, Edpan, a little bit.
Long way to run.
Yeah, a little bit of a far-fetched attempt.
Yeah, not sure about that peek out, but hey, look, he's perhaps looking for another one. Just impacts the barricade and can get back inside and won't find anything because it's Oblivion to get the first kill onto Dinkle.
Oblivion finding that first shot is a good beginning here for Elemental. Well, not Elemental, pardon. For Exto to maybe push the scoreline back into their favor. But apart from that, not much can be said about the push because, well, it still hasn't theoretically commenced yet.
I mean, they're still worried about runouts, Cthulhu. I mean, they're constantly looking at doors, constantly looking at windows. You can't blame them after what's happened so far, but it has eaten up a minute of the time by now. They've lost an attacker, although to be fair, that wasn't to a run out. That was just straight up to, who got it? I think it was Oblivion. And so now, yeah, you're right. No real push onto the site here. No one can really get down easily enough, so Elemental at a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, after losing one of their hard breaches, I mean, it shouldn't be as much of a slowdown for them, given that they still have Cairo on the ace. But it seems like they are now absolutely lost as to whether they want to go. I mean, look at this. 4 players are still on the rooftop, not even making a single entry, and Edpan is about to go in and swing for TVCX, who's completely doesn't know about any kind of presence and could potentially be shut down. Finally, the Claymore does punish Edpan, so at least there's that, but already quite some time has been already drained.
Oh no, Fluxus.
Attackers bomb
He fell
diffuser
straight into all that smoke. I think he crawled out alive, but straight into Geordie. And so with that, everyone on Elemental is dying, and it's all to Geordie, just TVCX. He's the only one left. He's gonna make a swing, but Oblivion was ready for him. And Exto Gaming, they close that gap just one round at a time.
Yeah, there we go. Only 1 point difference now between the two teams, and this is just, oh boy, bit of a rehost is being requested here, as Soundbug is definitely.
You kind of want to hear in this game, don't you?
You do not want to encounter it in any shape or form. It is probably one of the most annoying things to really witness, but it is what it is. We are going to be seeing quick rehost, as Elemental will be the ones to leading, and well, hello, we are back. Cthulhu and Smite on the mic.
4-3. What a scoreline. I mean, to be fair though, I think we were mostly excited when it was 4-1 with Elemental in the lead, but now that the gap's closing, we're starting to say like, oh yeah, okay, kind of get it now. Exto are just warming up and closing the gap a little bit, but I mean, look, we've only just swapped sides actually, so you know, we haven't had too many rounds here with you know, the teams on their new positions, so maybe it does change up since that last round we just saw, but obviously so far Elemental are just putting out the numbers. Yeah, Elemental at the very least were able to just keep things as tight as it can be, just managing to just say kind of, yeah, you know what, we just gonna play it out, just gonna do whatever it takes for us to get the rounds. Well, they sure did on the defense, but it seems their offense is, at least from the first round, has been a little bit shaky. The moment they kind of initially lose their player to maybe a spawn peak, maybe to a random run out, they just kind of seem to be absolutely lost, and that's the last thing that you want as a team who's currently just attempting to even just grab themselves a single map win, especially against Exto, who at this point I feel they wouldn't be caring as much about their game, but they would still want to play it out to just to a feels good kind of moment, just to kind of close it out on a high note, their whole season here, and kind of call it, well, a season. Yeah. I mean, you can hardly call it like, you know, them not caring too much about the match when you haven't seen any. You haven't even seen an armory yet. Like, they're obviously not memeing it up just yet at all. They're still trying to smash out a win. You can tell because they've already closed the gap, right? They're only one round behind. So I want to just talk about the attack so far. We've only seen one round of it from Elemental. First thing is that 4 of them, because that was all that was left of the team, so this is all of them, all stuck up on that roof, right?
Yeah.
All in the same place. All, I'm pretty sure at that point, known as well by the defenders. So, I mean, what are you going to do from that position?
Yeah, the issue for them is that they didn't really get rid of Edpan in any shape or form. They had the opportunity to do that right at the very beginning of the round, and unfortunately couldn't really close it out. They forced him out of a few positions, but I feel kind of using the rooftop as your crutch to make an entry to the building is probably the last thing that you want to do. For example, say you managed to force Edpan out of his position. You managed to, you kind of confirm that he ran away, even with a drone, say. And after that, go straight for the push on the ground floor, because you can still take full control of the red stairs. You can still contest fairly confidently on a few of those angles, as long as you don't try to expand throughout the whole map and kind of disconnect all of your players from each one another and force it into kind of 1v1 situations, then you still in a solid. So for Elemental, I feel that they need to kind of start maybe pushing themselves out of that comfort zone of just having their first objective to get to the rooftop and then kind of start their push from there. Obviously, it can grant you a few entry kills, but nothing more, nothing less, really, because for Exo, that just means that they're being granted the whole inside of the building for an easy roam, and they can hide pretty much anywhere, and potentially could even lead to some vertical gameplay that probably Elemental wouldn't really want, especially on sites like Bar and Cocktail, where they want to go in for the push, get the plan done, and just call it a round.
Yeah, and they also did die pretty quickly once they
That
all
is
went
true,
in.
yeah.
That's
The
kind of
moment they drop down. It's just it.
It's kind of the punishment of that sort of strategy, right? The whole funneling thing. But also, I want to point out in that round, was how the defense was played there, particularly right at the start for Exto Gaming, is that they were still being very aggressive. They were still looking for spawn peaks. They were still looking to just get an easy early advantage right at the start of the round, you know, and rely on popping off like that. Not rely, because, you know, it's more of a bonus little thing that they're doing, and if it works out, awesome, you know. Problem is, though, when it doesn't work out, you get punished for it pretty hard.
Yeah, pretty much. And so we are just about to go straight into the game. There we go. Finally, we have everyone in. So back to Cafe Dostoevsky we go. Rehost is done. And yeah, look. We kind of ended our run before the rehost on a 4-3 scoreline. So we will be potentially seeing kind of Elemental attempt to run it back and get the scoreline back into the kind of their full domination. But apart from that, Extra could very much make a comeback here.
I'm pretty sure the delay is enough that Cairo wasn't listening to me when I mentioned the Amaru. But just in case he was, then he baited me. He got me for sure, as it is going to be Nomad and not the Amaru instead. Of course, I was talking about Exto anyway with that point, so you can't trick me, Cairo. Can't get me with that one. All right. Elemental still in the lead. Cthulhu 1 round ahead, and they're still on the attack. Exto, they managed to shut it down last game. Of course, nice early kill onto Dinkle on that Habana last round. Certainly set themselves up pretty well, but it was really just keeping Elemental from doing anything but a roof push. Of course, here on the first floor, things are very different. Very far away from that roof. They might still opt to go for a top-down clear, because of course we know Exto Gaming love their roams. They love those operators sneaking around in the shadows. You look over there and you're like, okay, Oblivion, he's probably going to be roaming around on this Mozzie the whole time, like you can see right now. But where is he going to hang out? He's going to go upstairs.
He might actually, go upstairs, given that he could actually do quite a few things from up above and deny a few of the angles. So if he's able to keep his position on the second floor very stable, then he could very much dish out quite a large amount of damage. But again, with him and Edpan up on the higher floors, this definitely will force Elemental to try to go for a roam clear.
Man, Edpan, he was hunting for that drone as well. You could see him also running away at the same time, but, you know, getting those drones is going to be massive value if you can catch it on. You know, forcing Elemental to a lower time, but here we go. Here's the big man, Edpan, been playing in some weird spots, but he's got the C4 in hand. Playing it nice and dangerously. Goes for the Hail Mary, but doesn't quite get it. Cairo was just hanging very far back, nice and conservative, but it's Edpan at the end of the day to go down.
There we go. TVCX also does go down to the hands of Jordy, so at the very least there's a bit of a trade going around. The hard breach denial for a fragger is quite a trade and a half, and right now Elemental will be once again slow down a little bit. Supremacist trying to hunt down anyone that is on the second floor, but at the moment is taking quite some punishment from the defensive players. The C4 could have been one way to go for a defense, but we'll decide to conserve it, at least for the time being.
Well, Supremacist, he's opened up a hole and is trying to find some kills from above, but remember, that C4 is still in Mozzie's pocket. Oblivion could huff that up at any point. Supremacist, he's got to watch his toes, for sure. Even a bit of splash damage could take him out. He's not at full health, but here we go, over to the hatch. Still though, no progress just yet. Could take out the batteries if he wants to, but for now, this is all 4 attackers. Well, 4 attackers alive against 4 defenders. It's really just a waiting game here, Cthulhu.
Yeah, it is definitely a waiting game here between the two teams, just trying to find the right way, the right angle to poke at, as it seems that the main breaching is going to be done right onto the freezer wall, and maybe she'll be seeing something different to be done. I'm interested about where is that punching happening, because right now there's still quite some presence actually around the VIP section, and Oblivion could definitely throw in a spanner in the works of the attack, although there's already a drop down and there's already a down player, so an entrance has been made onto side, but straight away shut down by Jordy.
Yeah, but they shut down the Maestro very strong. Jordy now rushing in to save the site. But unfortunately walks into Fluxus and Cairo, and now it's on Oblivion to save this site. Teammate down, Dinkle going for the plant, denied. 6 seconds to stay alive for Oblivion. He can't quite do it though. And Elemental claim the round.
They push the round differential now back onto the second point for themselves, and making it even tougher here for Exto to make anything work for themselves, really, because now they're only one round away from a match point, and that does set themselves up for a very confident outcome. Potentially, they're still not out of this just yet, and things could really take quite a turn there. But we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case here, if the scoreline will be turned around. Kitchen service will be brought out once again by Exto Gaming, as it seems that they are quite confident about the fact that they can defend it on a much better, with a much better organization here. So deciding to push Oblivion onto the Vigil is a pretty decent idea, although Edpan, I believe, did a much better job of just distracting the attack even more. So it feels a little bit maybe slightly counterintuitive here, but maybe it's just the kind of call between the players. Kind of now you had your fun on Vigil, now let me try.
Yeah, Edpan also seems to be relegated to Kaya duty anyway, so you know, may as well, if you're gonna pick Kaya, stick it onto him and let Oblivion run around. He's been having a pretty good season so far, so stick him on the Vigil, see what he can do. Remember, you are not very far away from claiming one map here, as we just double check everything and everything looks all good. No one DCing. But like I was saying, you are just a few rounds away from just picking up a map. You just need the map. And so
something like actually climb on this?
Okay.
I know that you could climb on one of those like fallen drawers, and you can actually use one of them as your cover, but I didn't know that you could climb on top of that. Oblivion's position here could be huge, because not only he could cloak himself from the drones won't be able to actually really see him when he gets shot out, and decides to forfeit his position very quickly, which kind of leaves me a little bit puzzled.
Yeah, I mean, the drone came in like just as his cloaking ran out, but Cairo doesn't need any cloaking, but might need a few more bullets if he wants to hit that one. Oblivion dropped pretty low, but not low enough to be eliminated, and he can just slink back to the site or continue to roam. It's really up to him.
It's really up to him. There's a few shots kind of being exchanged here and there, but right now Elemental has been slowed down once again. Although there's the yummy footprints, Vigil will be discovered, and now it's up to Elemental really to hunt down the Korean operator, or rather actually just wait for him to actually push back to them, because Oblivion could really catch a bullet to the head, or maybe he would be able to dish out the damage rather.
Oh, Mechi, he's getting some good little bits of information here, and even, I believe, still has that C4, so can still find a way to make a double kill maybe happen. It'd be nice and excellent for him, but right now, you look at Elemental, they are just trying to find anything they can through the floor here. They've got the frags out to get rid of all these Kaid claws, but they've lost the premises now. The Jackal, who's going to hunt down Oblivion, because that guy, by the way, is still a problem. No one got rid of him, and that could be their ticket back in.
Yeah, well, there's the edge that does go off. That will be indicating that there might have been a push on the brown stairs, and I do believe that Oblivion is promptly falling back. So now, once again, 54 seconds remaining. Cairo does manage to actually get rid of Oblivion, so that is a great beginning. Already a double kill for Fluxus as well. Now, all down to Soya and Mechi, and both of them are very close to that peaking position, which could be naded pretty quickly as well. I do believe that there is some utility, but no, it doesn't even need to be used. Cairo just goes in, all down to Soya, and in a 1v3 situation, could be completely shutting it down. 31 seconds remaining. The diffuser has been dropped down, but now the position of the smoke has been revealed, and there we go. Cairo does push Elemental right onto match point.
Here we are. The first round that could just fully pull these two teams away from that draw. Elemental and Bance, they've been drawed right at the bottom, 6th and 7th place of the leaderboard for the longest time. But one more round could pull Elemental away. One more round could take them away from even needing a tiebreaker and get them out of that relegation, but that's where all the pressure comes on, Cthulhu, because now you're so close.
So close, yet still pretty far away. Things could really be changed around here. 3 points is the only difference here between Exto and Elemental, and we've seen a few times when teams were able to catch up pretty quickly on the scoreline. So it's not over yet, but my god, Elemental are so close to potential glory here.
Attackers need
Yeah.
to locate and defuse as many
This is
bombs
so
as
good
they
for them right now. They just want to pick this one up here. No one wants to go to relegations. No one wants to bother with tiebreakers. It's kind of like overtime. Just win instead and not have to deal with it. And Elemental have that option right here and right now to skip the hypothetical overtime. In this case, 4 C4s in the pockets for Exto Gaming though on this defense. That is a terrifying thing to think about whenever you're walking on a wooden floor.
by attackers.
Oh, that is a setup that I haven't seen for a while as well. Headpan busting out the yield. I think that was 2019 or middle 2018. Yeah, middle 2019 or beginning of it. Strats from Fnatic. How they held the cafe, or rather the piano, from all the way from the cocktail, where they had 2 of the mirror windows set up. One set up on the right side of the wall, going from cocktail, or rather construction, into freezer, and then from freezer into the piano, they had the mirror window set up on the left side of the wall patch. So you theoretically had 2 or 1 very extended mirror window overlooking into a piano. It was extremely hard to really get rid of. But now with a slightly different lineup of the operators, things could really be changing. But this is definitely quite a throwback of a setup. And Dinkle already kicking things off onto Jordy nonetheless. There's a huge opening here.
Exto Gaming are still just trying to go for things like these runouts, and getting punished for it now could be
Oh,
where
boy.
Elemental just saved the round. It's another one being set up though by Exto. There's no way they actually jump out though, so it's really just Oblivion hanging out by the window. But if this goes badly, if this goes pear-shaped, it could be all over completely for Exto. So risky.
Oh yeah, extremely risky here for for Exto and for Elemental, as a matter of fact. If they lose their momentum, this could be all it. Although it's still man advantage is man advantage, so really can't dispute that. Another swing and a run out already, well rewarded. Oblivion finally gets rewarded for patience, but TVCX also there to completely shut down any kind of rotation back. So good trade-off. At the very least, there's that. Unfortunately for Elemental, though, the breaching was not done into the piano, so they need to actually rappel into the window and then jump in through there, which I don't think actually the piano room is being contested as of now. So potentially, at least for a short time, this area could be still safe to jump in.
You've arguably got Mitchie though to worry about, and you can see TVCX is worried about it too, so he's now going to be trying to focus on the corner where he is, flush him out of the bathroom. Going to be very important. You can also get the breach done at the same time. And so, oh man, TVCX still in line of sight of that mirror. They managed to take it down though.
Yeah, with Michi now going down as well, it's all down to Soya and Edpan. And all of a sudden, this could be turned around really quickly, although Edpan does manage to find a refrag. There's a plant going down. Supremacist is going to be sticking it, and no C4s will be thrown out, so the plant is successful. So now the timer is about to start ticking against the defense.
Oh, Sawyer, he spots out some great intel, but that's 1 kill. He needs 2 more to safely get rid of this diffuser. Now Edpan in a whole lot of trouble, but he has the same problem. Oh my lord! He's still alive somehow. Sent a little bit of damage back, but these attackers have the health advantage. Maybe not so much anymore after Fluxus dropped so low, but Sawyer was the last one left, and they take him out to Elemental. Get a map win. And Elemental avoid relegations.
There we go. Finally, Elemental, after such a long time of being unable to claim themselves the win, after being unable to claim themselves any points throughout the middle of the season, finally do find themselves the win here. The map win, the point that they needed to get themselves out of relegations, and now this is full on, completely locked in. They are out of him.
But that's not all, Cthulhu. There's still more points they could be earning because
True.
that was only map number 1. Elemental taking that one out. Now for Exto, they're not getting into playoffs. They're not going to relegations. But for now, neither are Elemental. So who knows what this last map could bring us. It could bring us anything. But to find out what's going to go down, you're going to have to come back in a few minutes after the break. The last game of the season now for Elemental. And they have only just pulled themselves away from the relegation. That's right, it's LPL Pro Season 3, Rainbow Six Siege, and we've got the last map of the night coming up for you guys, and this one, haha, it's going to be a good one, man, because both teams have nothing to gain and nothing to lose, so who knows what's going to happen, as we're going to be hitting Consulate, of course. What a great way to finish off the night.
Yeah, we started on Consulate, we're going to be ending it all on Consulate, and yeah, it's a map that kind of we barely seen really throughout the whole season. I believe this is going to be our 6th appearance throughout the whole season, and it's shown us that quite a fair few teams are not really particularly prepared for this map at all. Some of the rather more kind of pug type strats that were organized between some of the teams, some very unconventional picks, some of the unconventional bans were brought on board. Ferox showed us some interesting quote-unquote decisions by bringing in the glass, that the operator that usually is not as frequently picked, and for the reason that, well, he doesn't really fare as well compared to some of the other fragging operators. Even with his utility, it's more so of a selfish one rather than introducing something to the whole team.
Yeah, and now another little interesting thing to talk about this map number 2 is that Sawyer's out. Yes. And Dark is in. So Dark is coming in to replace Sawyer. I imagine just to give everyone like a little bit of a share for their last game. I don't think anyone's injured or sick or anything as they're swapping out mid-series, but that makes things interesting because now Dark is coming in and Dark is a monster.
Yeah. Yeah, Dark is just a fragging machine, really. There's nothing really bad to really say about him. He was single-handedly able to push quite a few games towards his team's favor, and he's just an absolutely amazing fragger that I reckon further down the line, if he will be searching for another team, does certainly deserve a good position in a higher-end team. But all the praises aside, and we're actually seeing Sawyer back into it, but Dark is actually going to be coming around, so I'm assuming he's replacing Edpan, maybe. But look, Exo Gaming, back to it. They're going to be the ones to defend, and first ban is down for them, and it's going to be Blackbeard. Now, Blackbeard is one of those operators that is extra powerful on this map, given that the control over the windows is very important for the attackers.
Probably the map with the most windows, let's say. Most points where you can shoot through
most
the windows.
usable windows, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
Yeah. Lion, to be banned out as a secondary one, is just kind of more so of a comfort ban, I suppose, from Elemental, given that Exto actually used Lion on a few occasions, so potentially something different that could be coming out here. So with Valk being banned out, now the only one that I'm expecting to be banned out last is going to be Mira, given how powerful she was even back at the back up on the cafe.
Yeah, a real powerful one back on cafe, so just get it out of there. I mean, powerful pick on a lot of maps. A lot of teams ban it all the time, so yeah, no surprise to see it go. The obvious bans being kind of interesting is probably going to be the attacking bans, as the Lion and the Blackbeard. To a point, you know, you see the reasons why, but it's still strange to see it banned up over some other things that pros like to ban.
Yeah, it's cool to see some of the different bans, just to see how that could really change the playfield between some of the teams. Console, office, and meeting room will be the first site to really be played out. And looking at the lineup, actually, funnily enough, Edpan is also staying around. So wait, who are we missing? Oh, we're missing Jordy.
Oh, Geordie.
So Dark replaced Geordie, so a fragger for a
As many
fragger,
bombs as they can.
theoretically, has been changed up by Exto. So, look, I'm not opposed to that, but I'm certainly curious what would have, how would have Exto looked if, say, replaced Mitchie for Geordie, bring in Dark, and bring in Edpan. Or better yet, actually no, keep Mitchie, replace Sawyer with Geordie.
Well, given the way his team talks about him, I'd say they'd agree with him.
And I mean, at this point, they already bullied Sawyer just about enough. So I feel at this point it's going to be borderline mutual agreement.
5 seconds left.
Someone will agree. There'll be someone out there. Oh boy. Okay, it's Consulate, it's Map 2, and it is Elemental with the lead in the series so far. I mean, they could crack the 3 points if they can win this map here. They could get a 2-0. You never know here, but of course not going to be able to change anything in the standings. But I mean, it's going to make the leaderboard look a whole lot different when you're, you know, 7 points to 4 points from the team that's now in relegation.
Attackers
But
have recovered their diffuser.
of course, it all starts in round 1. So, what have we got here? No operators looking too crazy. Edpan now forced back, so he's going to be all the way underground. These smokes are running marathons here tonight, Cthulu.
Yeah, it's the day of smoke, and well, it's Dinkle that gets smoked by Mitchie, as the man just completely doesn't care about anything about from just clicking the head, and well, does so very efficiently. Edpan does take quite some punishment, but Mitchie is there to also dish out quite some punishment. Cairo has been down, but not out just yet, as I believe he might just be picked back up as Mitchie gets punished by Supremacists. So we're back to 4v4, but theoretically it's still a 3v4 as Cairo is down.
Cairo's going to be able to crawl outside by the time someone's able to get him back up, but
Cyberpunk 2077 will be released by the time he crawls out.
he's going to be reported AFK. He hasn't moved for so long, but finally he does get back up. That did eat up a fair amount of time, but the important thing is at least they still have 4 people to go up against what Exto Gaming have here. Oblivion's just going to run right through all the gas, into a run out, and into his doom. As it's almost like Exto read that play like a book. Sorry, Elemental read it.
Elemental, able to adjust kind of on the go is certainly a good sign. Now, I'm curious how will Dark really perform here. Well, he won't. Just as I say that, he just catches a bullet from Flugzeus, who's actually been on a tear throughout the whole matchup today. And now, oh boy, all the utilities starting to fly in. Candela's going in and blinding all the defenders. There's the kill, but a trade-off instead. And there we go. Cairo is the one to finish it all off with Flugzeus. So first round to once again go into the hands of Elemental.
Yeah, Elemental still on a bit of a rip and a tear, and not sure on some of the things that Exto are throwing out there. They're definitely throwing some pretty crazy things out there, like Oblivion just sprinting outside. I mean, yeah, there is a lot he could have potentially got from that, but he was running through, I think he was because he was running through the gas that he kind of probably expected Elemental to be caught off guard because of, like, you know, who was going to run through the gas, but it was sort of just running out at the time, so they were obviously ready for it, so they took him out anyway. But yeah, rough for that one here, but 1 win already to Elemental to kick things off. And you look at what Exto are looking on for defense, and Alibi, Frost, those are very interesting, but so is Nook. Oh man, Cthulhu, we're getting a treat of around here.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Yeah, look, a Nook pick is certainly going to be an interesting one, and it's a Nook with the frag grenades to assist Flugzeus with some fragging here. But look, this is the game where I feel both of the teams will be just vibing, really. They're already going in for some quality banter up in the Tix chat, so I'm not excluding the fact that we shall be seeing some quality memes from the gameplay as well. Already we're seeing a Frost pick from Exto with
10 seconds to go.
yeah, look, that's a low quality bait there, Tinkle. I reckon maybe you might need to up the your baiting game a little bit more. But look, right now I'm definitely curious about all those meme setups that we are seeing from both of the teams, as a matter of fact, because the Nook pick is going to be the one that I'll be most certainly eyeing out for quite a fair bit, and it's a Nook with the suppressed FMP9 out of all of them, so you'll definitely need some headshots if he wants to get some kills, Cairo.
You'll never see it coming. You'll never hear it coming. Just super duper stealthy. He's even got a undetected drone up there as well, so has some information on their opponents, so maybe we'll be able to get the jump on them, but has to get inside first, and that's always going to be the hardest part. TVCX is also facing a pretty similar problem, and he definitely doesn't want to get caught on the entry, so they've got all these frags, and actually just going to go ahead and blow up the floor, but that explosion was actually Edpan with the C4 and the Flux, just in response.
Yeah, good beginning here for Excel once again, but Mitchie does get traded out by Supremacist once again. There is about to be a swing maybe, but Cairo is there also onto Oblivion. So this is a great beginning here for Elemental, as Extar certainly looking not really feeling too swell here, or rather too tough, and even with all the pings that are coming out onto Supremacist, he does manage to wedge out Sawyer's position and force him out of the comfort zone, but Edpan on the flank could really catch Zafia, although he's running right in front of one of the attackers, but no, just gets it down and gets a kill. Dark is the one to finish him off, and that's... Wait, how?
Yeah, wasn't it?
No, wait, no, the silhouette is... Oh, no, wait, the silhouette does actually show that there is... What is Dinkle doing?
Was he just... I'm not quite
He's
sure, because I saw that
standing
too.
there. He was just standing there kind of accepting the fate of his own teammate, and well, the plan has already at the very least gone down, so now it's down to Dark and Sawyer to do anything, and well, they need to start making a rotation back on site.
Oh my god, listen to how much noise Dark is making down the stairs. You can't be quiet on Maestro, that's for sure. Sawyer, oh man, he grabs that kill, but so far a trade overall, and now just Sawyer to get this site back. Big gun, big ammo. Can he make the big plays though? Can't quite get through this one. There he goes. Door unstuck. But now can he find a kill down the stairs? No,
he gets undigged. He gets undigged by Cairo as the last thing to witness, and
oh,
yes,
he knew it.
clean.
He knew it too.
Crisp, clean aim lock right onto head by Cairo.
I love it.
Things you love to see. Well, another thing that we might love to see is the garage pick to come out from the defense. Looking at the lineup as well, maybe bring a decision to bring in a Warden. Won't counter Nook, but at the very same time should be just enough to counter all the smokes and flash grenades that will be thrown at the defenders. Dinkle bringing in the Amaru as a 6th pick is going to be a huge pog. No soft breach, or rather no hard breach will be achieved. Maybe Nook will be the one to bring in the secondary hard breach device, but also on the other side, there's a 6th pick onto the Oryx for Sawyer.
So for this site, it could actually be kind of interesting because we've said before, this is one of the sites that is, you know, one of the few that is on multiple different floors, right? On the basement and on the first floor. Oryx can jump up the hatches if he needs to, so it could create some interesting positions for things like retakes or even just interesting flanks, you know?
Yeah. And funnily enough, we actually did get debated. This is not Garage, this is going to be Visa in Archives. That will be defended here, first of all. Second of all, yeah, Oryx will probably be the most efficient here with all the hatches, but I feel like we shall be seeing quite a fair few hatches to be also reinforced by the defenders, so that could potentially cripple the overall flexibility of Oryx, but I'm also quite curious about how will Dinkle really play his cards, because he will be kind of the main course here, I suppose.
Yeah, what can Dinkle pull off here on the Amaru? We haven't even really talked about it at all. Zooms on up, so it's pretty quick, but not through the window, but quick enough to get a surprise. As Edpan just gets beefed back there. Can Supremacist do the same thing? He's got to reload, so perhaps not. But maybe, actually, he can. As it's actually Fluxus to grab that one, but it's traded onto TVCX, and another one of Elemental fall. And now, suddenly, we are not looking at very healthy teams, Cthulhu, anymore. Just Sawyer and Dark left to defend, and they can make this 2v2 happen. And Sawyer's certainly found his kill.
Yeah, Sawyer doing some great job at just hunting down the Nook. Finally does manage to catch her off guard, and I do believe that he also dropped down through the hatch. So now it's all up to Dinkle to try to make some things work here, as right now just seeing a whole lot of rotations being made by Sawyer, who just tried to I don't know, blast through whatever walls, but it's Dark who will be blasting Dinkle. And that's round number 3, done and dusted, into the hands of Exto Gaming, as we back to a 2-1 scoreline.
yeah, huge little bloodbath in the middle of that round there that just ended up edging out a little bit in favor of Elemental, but at the end of the day, they managed to secure that one back in favor of Extos, and now we might actually get your basement, your garage site, if we're going to be blessed here by Exto, but
Just
who knows, you know? I mean, this match, just even this map alone has been super weird, but you look over at what's been pulled out, it's all actually fairly normal, but more still operators you want to show off on. You think you can pull some fun tricks, or maybe you can just show you're a mechanical god, you know, things like Vigil, even the Alibi, which was hovered, but has been picked away from. So yeah, it's still a comp that, you know, you would see a competitive scene pick up, but
defuse as many bombs as they can.
still certainly show off on it.
Oh yeah, you can most definitely show off on pretty much any of the operators. All of their guns have been tweaked throughout all the time, and gotta say, all of those defensive operators can most certainly frag out quite confidently. So nothing to take away from them. Looking at the Elemental lineup though, the only difference we are seeing is Cairo bringing in the Ying for this very push, and I reckon if Ying will stay alive for a little bit longer, I reckon she could most definitely introduce quite a whole lot of issues there. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. Let's follow this for a bit, because are they both planning to do a lot? Okay, no, they're just making some noise. Okay, I feel like you guys are baiting the casters here.
I mean, why not bait the casters and just make a fool out of them?
Impossible. We're geniuses.
Supremacists, meanwhile, will be attempting to maybe get an opening into either the piano room or the exit stairs, either of which will be completely just...
Dude, look at how far back Dinkle is.
Dinkle, yeah, just...
He's been spawn killed so much.
Yeah, he's been bullied to such an extent that at this point he just wants to stay as far away as possible from the building, and well, can't really blame the man, but for now it's Fluxus to make a solo entry. Actually, Live Drone's ahead for himself before makes any entry, and maybe Dinkle will be able to assist him on that adventure, as it seems that nobody will be actually roaming up on the top floor, and for Elemental they need to actually check the whole floor before they actually rappel right in. TVCX back into play. We'll be potentially looking at hunting down Dark, who's currently very lit up, so that should be a pretty easy gunfight for the Ash to take, unless TVCX will be caught off guard.
Yeah, I mean, it only takes Dark getting the jump on him for Dark to come out on top of that one, despite the health. All the hatches, of course, going to be looking to breach them all up, except this one, all electrified, but you've got the lobby one now nice and open, so options are now there. No one has died just yet. Dark managing to keep his life, but here we go. It's TVCX to die first, right in front of the spiral staircase, and so with that, how are they going to be able to get around this one?
Already we can hear in the distance Candela starting to go off. Mitchie does take quite some damage as well amidst all of that chaos. And or C4, that's a cheeky one, will be denied. Thankfully for Supremacists, or rather Fluxus, and for now it's just a whole lot of vertical game that is being attempted here by Elemental to see if they can maybe wedge out a few of the defenders, but I don't really see that succeeding anytime soon just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 Candelas now gone, so there's one more left, and they've made no progress. 30 seconds are now left, and you've lost Cairo as well. And Exto are feeling so confident, they're pushing up, as now it's only 2 people left. 1 person remains, and it's Dinkle. Finally, he'll be the last one to fall down, or maybe save the round. It looks like it's going to be the first one.
Oh, there we go. Dark, despite the health disadvantage, is able to bring this back. Now we are sitting on a draw between the 2 teams. This is certainly looking like a much closer game, as both of the teams seeming to be either occasionally clueless about where they push or just absolutely keen on just fragging out. As just pointed out by Sawyer, Dark definitely seems to like his consulate.
Yeah, gotta remember, Dark wasn't likely here for the map veto, so he is actually being forced to play this map. Basically, it's not like you can say, hey Dark, you should have just banned it, because he wasn't very likely there, but maybe he was. Maybe he was, and he should have banned it. But for now, like you said, we are drawed up here, and again, it's feeling like one of those maps where each team just has a solid chance of taking each round. And so you look at these operator lineups and you're like, okay, cool, a lot of this makes sense. Malusi, Mozzie, Jaeger, but then Rook and Oryx are popping up, and it's like, they don't ruin the comp. They're not any weird picks for sure, but they're the ones that stand out here. And I wonder if those are going to be the ones to watch as well. Like, is Rook going to go, is Edpan going to go for a spawn peak just because he's Rook?
I mean, that's a
Attackers
thing
need to
in
locate and defuse
the realm of
bombs.
possibility, really. Rook has that amazing 2-time scope, which could be very, very powerful. And could very much go in for the spawn peak. I mean, Xto already shown that they have the audacity to do that very thing, so I wouldn't be excluding that at all, especially on a player like Edpan, who does certainly like his aggressive plays with some extra little bit of sauce, so who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we've still got all the defenders running all over the place here, but still a little bit of the prep phase to go, so we'll see where they all end up. Dark, you can imagine,
5 seconds to
will
insertion.
probably be looking for something out of a door. He's been doing it a few times, but
Attackers'
of
objective is
course,
to defuse a bomb.
you got to keep your opponents on their toes. Like, where is he going to go next? Is he actually going to spawn peek? You can see a few defenders hanging out by some windows, or so I thought. Looks like no one's going to be spawn peek just yet. It's going to be a little more normal by Exto, at least to kick things off.
Yeah, Xto just seeming to be just chilling a little bit. They seem to have kind of gotten off the hype, or rather all the aggression train, and decided to just go through a little bit of a maybe shield check and maybe a 5 check to see what is gonna happen. Really, there's already quite a push happening, and so it did get forced out of his position. But that was from the get-go a very dangerous one to play around.
Yeah, but as you can see with the hatch, it's a very easy one to sneak out of, and Sawyer, he swung one back, and now Dinkle's down, so already a solid start for the defense. Edpan's got a long line of sight on the main door where, what is that, 3 people from Elemental all hanging around, so could easily pick up a frag if any of them just goes for a swing and they're not careful enough.
Yeah, well, talking about not being careful enough, it's Dark to actually punish Flux Zeus as well as that. We're gonna punish TVCX as well, and now this is a 2v4 all of a sudden, all courtesy of the Jaeger of Exo Gaming, and right now Cairo just has nothing to really reply with, kind of flashes himself whilst being down, and now it's all down to Supremacist, who gets also completely and utterly bulldozed by Edpan, as Exo now take the lead.
Pretty sure Exto were outside the map quite a lot in that. It felt like they were the attack. I mean, Dark just sprinting outside, getting that kill, obviously, you know, the double kill overall, huge for his team, so puts them in the lead. You can see this is exactly how Exto are going to be playing on defense. You know, obviously there's only 1 round left of defense unless we go to overtime, so you expect them to play pretty much the same way. Just expect constant runouts. Expect the fact that Dark or someone like that, Oblivion has been doing it too, are going to be constantly looking for chances to shoot down your repellers. And so the moment you know there's an opportunity for that, get the hell out of there or look at where he's going to be, because it's been happening every single round on defense.
Yeah, be prepared for that for those kinds of runouts, because yeah, that is the last thing that you want to see, is just whenever you emit that animation of repelling, you're seeing a run out and you can't really do much about it. So yeah, that's definitely something that Elemental need to be very much wary about, and certainly Exto has been punishing them every time they kind of forget about that potential, really. So here, Exto defending Visa and Archives. It's going to be yet another round for them to try. Funnily enough, we've seen only a single console office defense pick so far for this match. And maybe for the sheer reason that, well, Exto don't like the top floor site rate.
It's certainly possible. I mean, they've got this long little line of sight here that they can easily shoot out from, so any entry from there or from the stairs, you know, the yellow stairs is going to be a little bit tough for Elemental, at least with what we've had set up by Exto Gaming so far. But remember, it's constantly about these runouts here, so they've made the first step, it's alright. It's whether they're going to meet anyone on the inside, but for now they should be able to avoid quite a lot of it and just all meet up over by the yellow stairs.
Yellow stairs is stairs are going to be one way to really go in for the push, although I believe they've already spotted one of the defenders. Another run out. Oblivion claims himself a double kill here once again before getting traded off, with fully realizing that he didn't really have any other way to fall back. And Cairo actually able to punish another one on the run out, or rather run through, and TVCX to claim the kill onto Edpan. Now all down to Sawyer, who will be able to claim a very easy kill onto Cairo and catch him off guard. And now the health advantage is actually in favor still of Exo.
Yeah, I mean, in this 2v2, that diffuser, by the way, is like deep on the site in the middle of the room, so Exo could play around that if they wanted to. You've got both members of Elemental are now together, and they both have great power at this vertical play. Obviously the sledge, but then TVCX, great gun for just hammering them down from above if they can get that vertical play. Of course, a minute and a half, so half the round still to go. Elemental can take the slowly drone out as much as they want to here. They don't have to rush.
Yeah, look, this is a tough job here for Elemental if they do want to even out the scoreline here. Michi holding a very tight angle, well, a fairly tight angle, very long one, I gotta say, as well as that swear to find a shot onto TVCX will be shutting things down. It's all down to Flux Zeus. He was able to find a few good clutches and a few good 2-3 Ks for himself, so maybe he might be able to bring this back here, but it's certainly going to be quite a challenge and a half because he's about to contest with Michi as well as Sawyer, and both of them having quite some long angles. There we go, finds one, needs to find Michi as well, but decides to go in for the plan. Whereabouts is Michi though? Now that is a big question because I don't think Flux Zeus is very much aware, and well, the plan will be quite successful actually. Now it's about time to go in for the retake, and well, Michi is actually even closer than he might have thought, and well, Flux Zeus will be punishing that very thing. Quick punishment by Michi to meme it out as he has pretty much all the time needed to do so, and well, there we go, finally. The frost kill will be there. Come on, go on. There we go, finishes him off. And then comes the defuse. Well done, Michi. You did it.
I love the just subtle crawl into it. He knew he had to do it. He looked back at him and was like,
"Go on.
Are you actually not crawling into it? Come on, man." What a legend.
What a legend. Well, with that said, first half has concluded as we are going to round number 7. 4-2 is the scoreline between Exo Gaming and Elemental, and this is probably the scoreline that we would have been expecting on the first map more so than the second map between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, and you can even argue that maybe Elemental lost a little bit of gas after they already got the one map when they needed.
Possibly,
but,
yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, that's fine. You know, they can come in here, even if the drive's a little bit down. Maybe I'm not saying that's what's happening, but with how Exo are taking the lead here, you can imagine that they don't have anything to gain. They don't have anything to lose either. So, you know, they're just coming in here and playing. And now so are Elemental, and I think that's the difference. Now they're just like Exo,
Attackers need to locate,
and now that they're equalized, Exo are the team that are taking the lead.
Yeah, Exo at this point just gonna kind of play it out just to kind of feel good about that. Just, you know what? Yeah, we kind of partially gave the win to Elemental. Now we're just gonna get a win ourselves, just to kind of end it on a high note. Just call it a day, call it a season, and well, Red Pan. At least for the time being, call it the run.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, poor Edpan's coming in for the series, and it's going to suddenly be like the one that they lose. If Elemental do start to bring it back, of course, it's looking like a draw for now, but we've swapped sides, so this is where, of course, it gets interesting, right? But the thing is, Elemental are just like Exo. They like to get their spawn peaks out here too. Whether we see as many runouts is going to be the question, but you can see TVCX is definitely keen on stealing a kill here, but they're onto him.
And they most definitely are onto him then. Not really planning to give away much. Supremacist also takes quite some damage amidst the gunfight between himself and Edpan. But it's Oblivion to open up the scoreline and will get shut down pretty quickly with a pump action. Although, quick trade. Exo not really wasting any time whatsoever. And now it's time for potentially a retake at least of one of the areas downstairs. Dark takes quite some damage and gets out of the equation. Supremacist is on a double. Now that could most certainly swing it into the favor of Elemental, pardon me, as TVCX is the one to clean things up, but Supremacist with a triple kill for himself will be pushing the scoreline just a tad bit closer now.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit hopeful there, of course, but, you know, it just felt like Exto were reading Elemental pretty well in there, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't crack it, right? The opening seemed fine. You know, forcing away any kind of spawn peaks, getting the entry inside, but then things melted down pretty quickly as soon as Supremacists, sorry, not Supremacists, but Elemental as a whole started to make their presence known. So, closing that gap in a similar way to what Exto were doing back on Cafe, but it's still a lead for old Exto. Question is, are they going to be able to keep doing it on attack? Because that's one round where it was a failure. But now that we're going to console office, Armor is back. Armor is back, baby. Maybe they were listening to me before, but I'm keen to see Dark on this Armor. What's he going to be able to pull out? He just took off a quarter of Supremacist's health, mate.
Yeah, minus Supremacist's 25 HP, although I don't think at this point he would really care as much, but still, that's not particularly the best way to go about it.
No, that's when
especially when you're the captain of the team, just decide to casually just punish one of your fresh introductions to the roster.
That's when you throw the C4 back. Like, they throw the impact at you throw a C4
you want to
back.
make a boom. Here's a boom for yourself.
Yeah, I have a button and it's much bigger and it works. But that said, though, all it means really is Supremacist is down a little bit of health, but being a, you know, Pulse is probably not going to be too all that worried about it. What people should be worried about is what is Dark going to do? How quickly is he going to just be boosting it right up to the site? Is he going to be just getting close to the site, straight onto it, or maybe to the side? It looks like nothing. Immediately, at least.
Yeah, nothing too kind of straight away here for the teams, although a bit of a repellent by Dark with the Amaru right on the rooftop, but again, nothing too spicy as maybe Michi could find a shot here onto Supremacist.
Michi played that out so well, just constantly changing his position and a quick little one tap to get his opponent. Oblivion's going to follow suit, and that's a two-man lead now for Exto Gaming. And this is looking tough for Elemental. Dinkel's in a tough position here, facing down the open window. Those ADS, they're only going to last a certain amount of time, and eventually Edpan's going to be able to air jab you up if you're not careful. So, now, can Dinkel survive? Because Cairo certainly can't. Dinkel has been pushed back just a little bit. Now they're going to be relying on TVCX to come and save them. Here, Diffuser. Still's just actually sticking outside, so it's all good. But finally, Dark goes down. TVCX claims him.
Yeah. Dark does claim him, and, well, it's all down to Dinkel now. Who is left as the last man standing against a four-man squad of Exto who are very much healthy. As healthy as they can possibly be. Already one repel in, that's one kill. Swear is down, but there's already quite a crossfire being held, and now it can't even confirm the kill, and oh boy, oh gosh. Oblivion is the one to close it out. Dinkel couldn't really do much about it, and well, that's another round to go into the hands of Exto Gaming. Getting really close to the match point as well. I believe only 1 point away from it, and only 2 points from the win here for Exto Gaming to close out their run in LPL Pro Season 3.
Yep, it's time for Elemental to start closing that gap, because the moment match point comes out, they cannot afford to lose another round for the rest of the season. And so, they're pulling out the same similar roster here of operators. We're going back to console office again, so they're going to look for a similar plan, but what have we got going on here for Exto on the attack? Dokubi's been ticked up. Ying is going to be confirmed in here. Response to that's going to be Warden, but very different looking attacking lineup here for Exto. Because Glaz is actually in the party too.
Yeah, Glaz all of a sudden makes yet another appearance. It seems that the performance by Ferox has inspired Exto to try the Spetsnaz sniper out once again, especially after the fact that he got buffed up for in the patches. So maybe, just maybe, we shall be seeing him shine, but I'm not particularly too hopeful. Although what I do know is that Michi will be quite unrelenting once again on the Zephyr, same as Dark on the Ying, and more so Dark actually, who will have now even more ammunition to really burn through, as well as the plentiful blinding utility that will be ridding the defense of any kind of sensory, well, any sensory functionality.
Yeah, they've also got a billion smoke grenades to go off. 6 actually. Just 6, not 6 billion. And so, Edpan can really play off that pretty hard, although he is right up there in the window already. So, this is a very brave little position he's gone for, aiming right onto the site itself. No one to kill him and no one to be found either. So, what's he going to be able to get from this? At any moment, they can throw out the smoke and make this a lot safer for him too, but... We've also got Dark, who can pull out the Candelas at a moment's notice. This is going to be a very quick and bloody round, Cthulhu. I can just feel it in my bones. The moment that logic bomb comes out from Sawyer, I think it's going to be when it all kicks off.
We'll have to find that out in a moment, because right now TVCX is getting quite keen on going for a peek at that Zephyr. Dark just keeps on holding the left click. He doesn't care. He has the full 85, or rather 80 round drum mag, and really all the ammunition that he really needs for this whole round.
Oh, Tickle. He's got the C4. Can he confirm the kill with it though? Looks like no. This is going to be the answer. Oblivion survives, and now he still has to deal with this problem. Although here it comes, the logic bomb. All defenders now making a huge amount of noise. Can anyone be found from it? Supremacist gonna be the first one. Edpan throwing the smokes out now, and he's gonna have a hugely powerful position. This is his window, along with Dark, and the Candela is the last one to be thrown out now. And the logic bomb too. It is chaos for Elemental.
It's absolutely chaos, but Floxus is ready to mow things down. Does manage to find 2 of the attackers. This is theoretically still a 2v2 with Cairo being down, and this is certainly looking like this could go either way. Still a minute to go, so few things can be done, but the diffuser has been dropped down. Edpan is now breathing in more and more damage. He's just taking so much damage he cannot do anything, as the whole of the balcony has been just completely smoked out, and now it's all down to Mitchie in a 1v3 now situation.
Edpan kept walking back, and I kept thinking it was going to end, but he kept losing health. I think even he couldn't believe it. That was such a far thrown smoke. So, look, I mean, even they're saying it was a very logical one, so tied to oxygen. I think it's more than oxygen in that Sawyer, although smoke won't tell me. He says I have to die if he does, so I don't think anyone's going to be finding out. But Mitchie here is in a pretty tough situation, and they know where he is. So he's going to have to win some pretty serious gunfights, and has already started losing this one pretty hard. All these crossfires, 10 seconds to go. You better have 3 amazing clicks in you, Mitchie, because that's 1, but where's the other 2?
Yeah, he's just going to get absolutely hammered here, and well, no time whatsoever to do much. And Elemental do manage to shorten up the point advantage just by a short bit. Although we've seen already a few really confident pushes by Exto, so only a matter of time before yet another one comes around. Although 4-5 scoreline is definitely a much more competitive one here, comparative to even what we saw from Bands the last time they've played on the Consulate.
Yeah, it's nice to see a Consulate go pretty far in the distance. Looks like Ying is still going to be toyed around with here by Exto. Certainly seems to be occasionally working out. The Dokkaebi seems to be teased as well. So I did like the plan going in with what they had, but this means Glaz isn't coming back in. So instead we're going to get something like the Capital, which could work out a little bit better here. Glaz is definitely one of those binary sort of operators which either works really well or doesn't work out too well at all. So
yeah, that's the thing here as well. It's just the fact how kind of almost a glass cannon Glaz has become, without really giving a whole lot of information to, or rather not information, without giving a whole lot of utility to his own team, minus those smoke grenades. So, and his gadget itself as well is very much of a selfish utility, similar to how Vigil's ERC7 is, similar to how I would say, yeah, Warden
defuse a bomb.
Warden is
Warden's
pretty
selfish.
good. Yeah, Warden is pretty selfish as well. So there's a few of the operators that kind of go for just their personal gain. Although through that personal gain, they enhance their chances of winning some of the gunfights, which could potentially put the team into quite a high advantage. So a few things could be done here. Funnily enough, the Thatcher is there, the operator that we actually didn't even mention, the fact that he was able to actually skip through the ban phase.
Yeah, actually, that's really something maybe we should have seen a little bit earlier, but here we are near the end of the round, and Thatcher allows Exto straight into the garage. The whole door is open right now. You can see right in. You can see what they're having for breakfast 3 days ago. So Exto Gaming are in a really good little position here, but what are they going to do with it? They still have to win these gunfights right in front of the side.
Cover me.
Yeah, they still need to get those shots nailed. Edpan already lost both of his drones. Still has his full loadout for the crossbow and has the secondary hard breach device. So could most certainly turn a fair few things around. As it seems that right now it's just an attempt at just burning as much utility as possible, as well as that Fluxus is just trying to go for a few zaps with his evil eye here and there. As I believe that's where the damage onto Headband actually came around from.
You can hear it turning around as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe even opening his door. No, it's just him turning it around, as you can see. But yeah, Exto, strong start, but it's slowed down incredibly. They've opened the door, and then now nothing's really gained from it. If anything, it just means the Evil Eye can shoot them from the outside now, from that pretty interesting little angle. So Oblivion finally finds a little spot that he might damage someone on. And the first kill's now starting to come out as Supremacist loses his life. Logic Bomb is countered by the Smoke Bomb, so you're not going to be able to get inside, or maybe Sawyer will, covered by the smoke, but the C4 will come out. Oblivion gets a knife somewhere in all the chaos, and on top of it, Exto Gaming put themselves on match point.
Oh man. In the matter of just a short few seconds, Exto turned things around and couldn't say better than Sawyer. What a map.
It certainly has been a map. Certainly has, as we may even just go to the full round 12 again, Cthulhu, because all it's going to take is Elemental to win this one, and you know, each of these rounds easily could be taken by each side. We are going to go back to the exact same site, so we'll get another go at it. Thatcher is still on board, but the good thing for Elemental is that they know exactly how last round went, so ideally they'll be prepared for the Thatcher this time.
Well, ideally. We'll have to see if that is going to be the case. No breach denial is actually going to be coming around, which is probably the most confusing thing for me personally. Although the decision of Womai is definitely a pick in the right direction, given how much utility has been actually dumpstered right into sight. So if those can be negated, or at the very least pushed away, this could be huge.
Problem is, you chuck in one EMP and it's all... I mean, yeah, you're probably not going to hit all the magnets, all the ADS, but for sure, it can definitely disable quite a lot of them. So, again, if they get this wall open, ADS or not, like, they could still be in quite a lot of trouble. Although, as we saw last round, Elemental did hold them off for quite a while. Did just keep them outside the front door for quite a long time. So, even with it open that wide,
10 seconds left.
maybe they can do it again, but it was also a very quick rushed plant coming in from Exo, and they still made it work. So I just don't think Elemental could afford to let the garage door open up so wide again.
Defuse a bomb.
Yeah, I don't think... Well, one would hope that they wouldn't really allow that to happen. That is a very peculiar angle that Michi actually will be holding, because I don't think that is actually counterable in any shape or form by the defense unless you have just about a sniper scope.
These guys are going for full post plant right now. Gridlock, Capital, even the Candelas from Dark are going to be massive. So you can expect, as soon as they get all this open, as soon as those ADS are all sorted, you're going to see the tracks things start flying out, the smokes come out, and then the plant come in very quickly too. So Exo Gaming have set themselves up for this, but they're really going to get one shot at it.
Yeah, we've seen already a fair few of those kind of attempts at just going in for the rushes, and Oblivion just tanks up quite a fair bit of damage.
Lights out.
It's not the best case scenario. Oh, the Womai Magnet will be able to yoink away that EMP grenade, and well,
Reloading, cover me.
that's about all that could have been really said about that attempt at disabling the Maestro camera, so we shall be sticking around to the same scenario for the time being.
Yeah, see, they can't really quite rush for the plant as we've just lost Dark. Definitely not rush for it now without the Candelas, and now no track stingers either. TVCX. At some point they had to deal with them, and they might be paying for it. Another one falls, but this time it's on Elemental's side. Here comes the gas from Smoke to hold them off, hold the attackers at bay for now. And, well, Exo Gaming seem to be held up. Oblivion on barely no health. Sawyer has had to go inside. They've abandoned their main path.
Yeah, now they are kind of a little bit scattered, trying to find maybe a few frags before actually going in for the push, because getting rid of a single roamer is not enough. There's still a Wild Dinkle who is currently on the exit stairs, and Oblivion might be suspecting something, seeing as there is some barbed wire. So he will be expecting a swing, but will he be able to shut it down? It doesn't look like he will, as right now that position has been abandoned, or maybe not, as right now, a little bit of a lag, but no. The element of surprise is there, and Dinkle will get the kill, although traded out, so at the very least there's that, and the breach has happened quickly as well. So Edpan was able to utilize his secondary hot breach device, so now it's down to him and Sawyer to bring this around back and maybe close it all out.
Yeah, they're going to be able to cover 3 different angles here, which is actually really good, but they have to use it pretty well because you've got, 2 different angles. My mistake. There's only 2 people alive, but that said, still 2 different angles is still pretty massive, but not a lot of time to make it work for sure. They've even got to fire down the doors, so they're going to know exactly where they are coming from, and they were prepared. That diffuser on the ground, and so are Exo's chances in that round. Elemental bring us to round 12.
There we go. Round 12, full set of rounds before we might even actually go to the overtime here between the two teams. Both of them would still probably want to get themselves a dub. For Elemental, this would be, I would imagine, at least out of sheer principle that, well, we already started getting the wins. Why not just get ourselves a 2-0?
You're this close.
Yeah, you're this close at this point. It's like, might as well just sweat it out. Same goes for Extra. They want to just end it on a high note, at least for the boy, for the man himself, Edpan.
Well, if Dark doesn't want to play on Consulate, he wants to win now. Because
Yeah.
otherwise he's doing 2 to 3 more rounds of it. So he must believe, and his team must believe, that Armor is going to be the right pick here. In fact, actually, quite a lot of the Ayana pick is what I'm getting at as being another interesting one here, is that it's just going to create
Protect your bombs from
not
being
just
defused by
confusion,
attackers.
not just doubt, but like, you know, what's going on when you're sitting there as Elemental. Like, you know, there hasn't been an Ayana the whole round, so you're gonna have to again get used to that. Dark's back on the armory, so again you've got to get used to that. Like, is he gonna blast through my window? I've got to be ready for it. Everyone's got to be ready for it. So Elemental still on that no lose situation. They lose now, they're out
Attackers have located
for the whole season.
Yeah, but at this point, they already managed to solidify themselves in just the right position to be out of the relegation. No more is their chance to be relegated and out of the LPL Pro, and that is most definitely a solid start for this roster, as this was their inaugural, this was their very first season that they've participated in an LPL Pro, and I would most certainly be keen to see how they progress further into the next seasons that will be coming.
Yeah, that is really important to know, is that this is the debut, and so it's really cool to see them go so far, especially to go out on a high note if they can even pick up this map too. But that is not all health for Supremacist left anymore, but the important thing is he survived, so they still get to play the 5v5 here.
Yeah, manages to survive, that's the main thing, and manages to still keep on dishing out some of the utilities, so that is the big thing right now for the man himself. Now, looking at the overall setup, Dark might just be able to get a good drop on a few of the defenders if he, say, just repels in straight through the hatch into the admin. So that is at least temporarily going to be the control over the admin established, which could ensure maybe a few frags here and there as that concussion grenade just bounces back at the Zofia.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. That was great. But luckily no one around there to kill him for it, but Dinkle, that's a grenade at his feet. And he's going to get down for that one. Not quite out just yet, though. But that's one now down. Supremacist gone for Elemental. Dinkle, we don't even know if he's going to be able to get back up. This could be a 3v5 in Elemental's must-win round. That's another one down.
That's another one down, and oh, Dark does pick up another one onto Cairo. Soya finds Dinkle, and now it's all down to Floodzeus as his whole team just falls apart. 5v1 situation in a 5-6 scoreline. Exto certainly looking like they are about to pick up a round, although maybe there would have been a magical clutch, but not today, not tonight. It is a draw between the two teams. It's Exto to come out victorious on map number 2.
But of course, Cthulhu, that important thing was the Elemental got the one map win. For Exto, that's fine. They don't really mind. Of course, they couldn't make playoffs anyway. For Elemental, it means the world. They avoid the relegation, they stay alive, and we'll definitely be seeing them in the next LPL Pro season. I'm so keen to see what they're going to be able to pull off now with the whole season under their belt. But hey, we're going to give props to Exto, of course, to cleaning out the map win there as well. You know, they're also technically a winner tonight too, as they managed to draw the series there. But that came right down to the wire, man.
Full 12 rounds were played out during the Consulate, as it could have gone both into overtime or into the win of Exto, and well, sure did. We did end up resulting in a 1-1 scoreline, and now all the, well, loose ties have been tied up and around the top 4 bracket, as well as that the relegation has been pretty much locked in at this point. Tomorrow's matches, though, still will matter quite a fair bit, as that will be deciding the seeding within that top 4 bracket for the playoffs, and potentially could decide some of the fates of a few of the teams.
Yeah, and last season we actually saw the last day, in fact the very last match changed up the seeding like pretty significantly. So you definitely want to tune in tomorrow. It's not just a bunch of nothing matches. They do mean things, and they can even give you a little bit of a preview of, you know, the semifinals and even maybe the grand final.
Possibly, yeah. A few of these matches will certainly form a few maybe grudge matches, a few initial kind of testing grounds for some of the teams to really go into before the playoffs, and potentially we could actually get a reflection as to what is like the playstyle during the regular season, or what's like the playstyle for some of the teams during the actual playoffs, where it matters the most.
But you're going to have to be a little bit patient, Cthulhu, because we've got one last day of the round robin. That's tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, we're going to see you then. We're going to shout out our sponsors right now tonight, because esports, not possible without them. WD Black, Sky City, Vodafone, Conquer, and of course, Extrafy, who have these sweet as mouses and keyboards you can get in all PC gaming stores, so check them out. But guys, tomorrow is the last day of the round robin. See how that top 4 is going to turn out tomorrow at the same time, 8:30 p.m. New Zealand time. We'll see you then.